What is going on, guys? Thank you so very much for joining us right here on Tuesday night. It is episode 78 of Tuesday Night Titans. It is Tuesday, January 7th, 2025. I'm your host, JD from New York. As always, joined by the man who loves real American beer, the Solomonster. What's going on, brother?
What are these boos that what?
Do we have the booze? Let me see. Where the fuck are they?
They chanting boo brother, boo brother?
Yeah, man, they're booing you.
I'm great. It's a brand new year. Happy New Year, by the way, JD. This is our first TNT of 2025.
Happy New Year, brother. How was your holiday, man? What did you... I checked in on you a little bit for the stream, man. You were doing your thing. I was 3 old fashions in, so I was doing my thing. I didn't really do much. I don't know what you did after the stream, but it seemed like you had a good time.
Well, I mean, considering how late I got to bed, I went to bed. That's what I did after the stream. I was going for a while there. Those are some long streams. People like to hang out on New Year's Eve. It's always a good time. Like you said, you dropped in, which was very nice. I appreciate that, and we had a good time. So I can say that I was literally streaming as we began the year. So when this year started, I was on YouTube doing my thing. And we're going to be doing this thing here every Tuesday night going forward. So it's going to be fun.
Yes, we are, man. We got a lot to talk about, and we took the last 2 weeks off, and rightfully so. I mean, let's be honest, guys. There was nothing really going on. It was all about what happened on January 6th, last night, Monday Night Raw on Netflix. We will definitely dive into the good, the bad, and the ugly that came out of last night's show from the Intuit Dome in Los Angeles. We will definitely get into that. SmackDown we'll talk about. We'll go over Dynamite, what happened last week. I know there's a lot of division going on with the sickos, with Jeff Jarrett being in the title picture to start 2025. Not really the change that I wanted to see over on the other side of things, but we'll definitely get into that. And Tony Khan announced that we have a women's gauntlet match coming up on Wednesday night, man. What a way to kill a fucking gimmick, man. Back-to-back weeks on top of the last 6 that we've gotten.
Last few gauntlet matches we've gotten have actually been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But I was wondering how long it would take before we got a women's one. I didn't know it was coming the week after we get a men's one. That's certainly a choice, but I believe the winner will get a Women's World Championship match in Australia, a Grand Slam, which I think pretty much gives away the outcome of that gauntlet match, if you've been paying attention.
Gee, I wonder who's going to win that one, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not. Maybe Deonna Purrazzo is going to Australia.
You know what, man? I was possibly going with Queen Aminata, man. I don't know.
Queen Aminata? You know what? I was thinking maybe Layla Hirsch. I don't know. I think you might have me beat on that.
Right now, you got me beat there, man. Get the fuck out of here. Layla Hirsch. Listen, guys, we're going to get into it. I want to make sure you guys are aware. We already got one in the goal here. I set a goal, and Jason thinks I'm fucking stunad here with the goal that I set. I thought it would be humorous just to play off the whole Hulk Hogan being booed out of the building last night on Monday Night Raw, and him comically thinking, well, I expected it to be booed, but I thought it'd be more 50-50, but no, it was literally 17,000 people booing him out of the building. He came out to promote Real American Beer, as well as him being there. And I never had Real American Beer before. This is Hulk Hogan's beer, his lager. I figured if we meet the goal of 10 tonight, you got $10 super chats or higher. If you guys meet the goal of 10, I will go out. I will scour the island here, Queens, Long Island, and I will find this beer. And depending on when I find it, next week or the week after that, I will drink it live on TNT in front of you guys and in front of Jason so he can laugh at me. And I will give you guys a review and a small taste test of Real American Beer. I think that's what we're going to do.
You never did try the Ric Flair energy drink, did you?
No, for some reason, man, I did not trust... I did not trust Ric Flair's mushroom beverage that he had going on over there.
You didn't like the cordyceps and all the different mushrooms that they had in there? No. Okay. I'm shocked.
No.
I wake up every morning, I get a woo energy. It gets me right up out of bed, man. I have at least 5 every single day.
Oh, wow. All right, listen. Yeah. I didn't know you I didn't know you swung that way, but I might have to get on board there.
Which way is that?
Woo! I don't know, man.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I would just as soon, jump out the window here than have 5 of those each day.
No,
but you got to watch, because some of these things, depending on where you live, you may have a tough time finding them. So I don't know. Woo Energy. I was just curious, like, The Rock, right? His tequila. You can find that anywhere.
Yeah.
Terramana, they have in all the liquor stores here. Yeah. But like Woo Energy and, real American beer and all this stuff, it's not going to be available everywhere. You got to really look for it.
Yeah, no, it's not like Stone Cold Steve Austin's IPA. I could go to anywhere, any beer warehouse, and be like, oh, there it is, right there. Mm-hmm. IPA is his American lager. It's I'll find it. I got connections. You guys,
brewed in El Segundo, California.
Yeah, it's not bad. We will. Listen. We'll drink our beverages. I don't know what you're drinking over there. I got my espresso tonight. I'm a little stunad today after the weekend that I had, but. We will definitely meet up with you guys at the end of the show. Super chats are open. Hopefully you guys got cold beverages at the end of the show. We'll hang out. Super chats are going. I got to shout out, first and foremost here, our guy David Thiering. Always showing up big. First show back in 2 weeks. This guy is already at the bar. He's ordering a round of shots for everybody. $100 in super chat here from David Thiering. He says the Titans are back. JD, if you want a laugh after what you had to deal with yesterday regarding your Aunt Teresa's funeral, a joke on Solo's Raw review was when Undertaker raises his fist during his exit. It's now the fisting ritual. Let the fisting puns begin. LOL, says David there. What is this fisting ritual?
Well, I didn't know what else to call it. I mean, look, he comes out, and we know he does the thing where he stops and he puts his fist in the air, right? And we saw Rhea do that last night. So I said it's his fisting ritual. That's what it is. I mean, it's become a ritual for him. He does it every time he comes out, right? What does he do? He puts his fist in the air.
Yeah.
So, okay, I said Undertaker and Rhea Ripley, they did some fisting on Raw last night and, try to put her over and put some shine on her. And that's what it is. But, of course, people immediately, they have to go into the gutter. And, hey, look, I mean, that's what it is. That's what it is. What do you want from me? I mean, what am I supposed to call it? It's the fisting tradition. It's the, what do you want to call it here? You got a better name for it?
I don't. I'm not even going to venture down that avenue. No.
I didn't think you would.
No, I'll stay out of that one.
Used to be a giant fist right above the entranceway on SmackDown for many years. They have a giant fist right now in Connecticut sitting in a warehouse somewhere.
I know, and the people want that fist every week. They want to be fisted every week, yeah.
See, there you go. Look at you. Getting in the gutter right alongside them.
I know.
They yell at me.
Listen, follow us on social media, follow us on YouTube. Everything you need as far as where to find this is down in the description below. So please go follow Jason on Twitter and on YouTube. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. Try for 1,000 likes tonight. I know we can meet the goal. It's our first show back in 2 weeks. We love being in the algorithm, so make sure you guys go and do that. Also, leave a comment down below. That helps us out in the algorithm as well. Whatever you want to talk about, you can let us know however you're feeling about whatever we talk about. Sound off in the comment section below. And please make sure you guys follow me on the channel as well. All the content that I got going on, there's going to be plenty of stuff coming up this week. It's going to be a busy week, so go check that out for yourself, all on the homepage for sure. As always, Jason, I'll leave it up to you. Where do you want to start? What do you want to talk about?
Well, I was going to get into something, but I guess kind of a piece of news here as far as NXT is concerned. Apparently, Corey Graves is now a permanent part of the NXT announce team. So I don't know if that means he's not going to be on SmackDown or if he'll be doing SmackDown and NXT. I mean, that sounds to me like he's being moved off of main roster duty to NXT duty. So it's going to be Vic Joseph, Corey Graves, and Booker T.
I don't like that move at all. I don't know why a move like that was made. I think Corey Graves is way too good for NXT.
Yeah, I don't understand it. I'm just unclear if that means he's not going to be on SmackDown, because my thought was it would be Joe Tessitore, Wade Barrett, who've been working together, and then Corey, and you'd have a 3-man booth on Fridays. So that is a surprising move if that is not the case.
Yes, and Roxanne Perez, I mean, I don't really know who gives a shit about the spoilers or not, but Roxanne Perez lost the championship tonight to Julia. Julia's the new NXT Women's Champion. As if you guys are surprised by this news, I think that everybody kind of knew this was coming. So I expect Roxanne in the Royal Rumble, and I expect her on the main roster in the next several weeks. So that's a great move there. But the Corey Graves one is a little a little crazy.
It's weird. Yeah. It's a lot of times when they make these announce moves, I feel like they're made with some motivation in mind.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's indicative of something with Booker, if they feel like he's not. I mean, I have no reason to believe he's going anywhere. So,
well, how much of that do you think has to do with Booker T wrestling Zilla? He's obviously going to be training, and he's wrestling Zilla, I think, at the end of the month. Does that have anything to do with it? So they're going to pull him away from that and put Corey Graves in that spot?
No, I don't say. I mean, not if he's going to be a permanent part of the team. If it was a temporary thing for a week, but I don't see what would one have to do with the other.
I don't know.
Booker's gotten in the ring occasionally to do a match in reality of wrestling. I don't see this being any different.
All right, we'll see, man. I don't know. I'm going to miss Corey Graves on Friday night, Monday night, him with Michael Cole. But the commentary team. Before we move on to the actual news, the commentary team's always reshuffling, guys. So Pat McAfee's going to be there up until September. He's going to move away. They'll probably move Corey back over to Raw. So it's like a revolving door. This is a good problem to have. They got a lot of good commentators, whereas in the years past, it was really just Michael Cole and Corey Graves, and that's all they had. So now they got Joe Test, they got Wade Barrett, they got Corey Graves, they got Michael Cole, Pat McAfee. It's a love-hate thing with him. I don't really mind him. Some people can't stand him. So they got a nice little problem there as far as color commentary and play-by-play. So yeah,
and Corey is the part of the team, the PLE team with Michael Cole.
Yeah.
So I imagine that'll continue. Two things. Sidro mentioned that you didn't put Twitch on, so that's number one.
Turn on Twitch. Okay, there you go. It's on. It's on. Thank you, guys.
He's having a coronary in the chat, so I don't want him to combust. Figured I'll mention that. And I see my little golden arrows back.
Oh, sorry. So I had to turn the Twitch stream on. I had to move that over your face. I'm sorry.
There you go. Now we're good. What I was going to talk about, and I don't know if you saw it or not, but I did want to comment on it, was the return of Kenny Omega.
I did hear about it. I had the match queued up. I did not watch it yet, but I heard it was a phenomenal performance by both Gabe Kidd and Kenny Omega.
Yeah, it was outstanding. It was the highlight of the weekend. A very busy weekend. We had 2 shows at the Tokyo Dome, and I reviewed them in full, on my show and on my channel. But Kenny Omega was the highlight of the weekend. And this is a guy who had not wrestled a match in over a year. He went through a debilitating illness that was potentially life-threatening. And for him to come back in his first match, you just don't know what to expect, right? Is he going to ease his way into it and have like a good match, but not, push himself too much, see how his body reacts? You watch him out there, you would never know that he even missed a year. It was just like another match. It was the Kenny Omega at the Tokyo Dome that you would come to expect. And Gabe Kidd too. I haven't seen as much of Gabe Kidd as I have of Kenny over the years, but he impressed me as well. They went out there for 30 minutes and just fucking tore it up. And so I loved it. And it's great too, because again, AEW could use Kenny Omega back on TV. And now we know he's back. He's back at 100%. And, Kenny at the Dome may be different than the Kenny we get in AEW, but that's a big plus for Tony Khan to be able to get that Kenny Omega back. And I know he's going to be on Dynamite tomorrow night. I don't know what he's going to be talking about, but hopefully they'll kick off whatever this first program for him is going to be, because they could definitely use him. That's for sure.
Well, the one thing that I saw coming out of Wrestle Kingdom and Wrestle Dynasty, and after the performance that Kenny Omega gave us against Gabe Kidd, I did see some highlights on X, and he was moving phenomenally. He looked as good as ever. But the one thing that I did see floating around on social media, and this was from a lot of the, journalists in the community, they all kind of regurgitate the same thing over and over again, and it was a common theme throughout the weekend. Tony Khan needs to give Kenny Omega the ball and whatever he's got going on here with the Death Riders and Jon Moxley, and strap Kenny Omega with the AEW World Championship. I did not say anything publicly because I was either going to either save it for tonight, because I knew we were going to talk a little bit about AEW, or save it tomorrow for my Dynamite post with Jesse, because I'm sure this will be a topic of discussion. The way that I look at it, Jason, is when I hear this, I agree partially with it, but at the end of the day, putting the title on Kenny Omega, who I've said for months in absence from AEW television, he is definitely one of the last remaining beacons of whatever the old AEW is. You know, Tony Khan talks about wanting to restore the feeling. I mean, you got Danny Garcia coming out, restore the feeling on a t-shirt, looking like a fucking Creator character from WWE 2K. But the feeling really is the guys like Kenny Omega and what they brought to AEW and the performances that he gave as the belt collector and the cleaner, and, you know, just giving those high level performances that we come to know and love and appreciate from Kenny Omega. Putting the championship on him is a start, but how much of that is actually going to bring back the fans that AEW seemingly has lost? And the way my mind works is, all right, you can put the championship on him, but if you don't give him a proper story with any sort of emotion and long-term vision, what good is putting the championship on him just to put the championship on him if there's nothing going into the title ring? So I don't know how you feel about that.
Well, I mean, they're not going to put the championship on him anytime soon. I mean, they're setting up for him and Okada. I mean, that has clearly been the direction since Okada came into the company. And they're not being shy about All In Texas. Well, that's in July. So I don't see them going in that direction, at least until they've gotten that first match out of the way with him and Okada, because I'm sure to Tony Khan, that's a dream match that he's been wanting to book for a long time. Coming out of that, yes, I do think he should be back in the mix and trying to go back after the championship, because he's your guy. He's your franchise player. You know, when Cody left, that was a piece of their soul that left the company. But like Kenny, you know, Cody was one of the founding fathers of the company. That's what Kenny is. And even with all the talk about Punk and everything that happened with the Elite, one narrative that was going around pretty consistently is that whatever beef he had with them, it wasn't necessarily that with Kenny. You know, Kenny was of the mindset that, like, hey, he's willing to do business and put the past behind them. And he just always came across as somebody who sort of recognized, okay, there's a bigger picture here and willing to do business. And that's the mark of someone who you can look to as a leader in that company. So it's not a case of, Kenny needs to be back because I want to see him on TV. I do. But I also feel like in many ways he needs to be back because I feel in other ways, off camera, I think he could definitely be a huge benefit to that locker room and to AEW right now at a time when they can really use it. So it's great to get him back. I don't see him going directly into the championship picture. I wouldn't put him directly into the championship picture. You build to it slowly. And when you get to the second half of the year, then you can tell that story if you want to.
Do you feel, and again, I always ask you if you had the pen. I know a lot of people have kind of dismissed this Death Rider storyline. I think it's fucking terrible, to be quite honest with you. I don't even know where we're going with it. I mean, I watched Collision on Saturday. I mean, they're duct taping. Did you see what they did to the Rock and Roll Express? The Rock and Roll Express. They're duct taping their mouths, and you know, it's like, okay, why? Where are we going with that? FTR comically is like, where'd they go? Where'd they go? I'm like, there's a fucking exit door right in front of you, man. Just go out there. I don't know where they're going with it, but if you had the pen, do you change course from where a lot of people are saying this is going? Darby, him climbing Mount Everest and him winning the world championship potentially at All In and saving the company from God knows what. Do you change course here and do what I believe you before anybody else? I mean, I heard it first from you before anybody else. Do the Elite, them saving AEW from this Death Riders, takeover, and have Kenny Omega save the company and beat Jon Moxley for the world championship and have him become the AEW world champion? Would you rather see that than them go with Darby Allin? Because I don't really think Darby Allin's going to amount to anything. I mean, it's going to be a token title run to give him that just to say thank you, but I don't really see him as a world champion.
No. So first of all, I talked about that as an idea. I definitely did not endorse that idea. So the last thing I want to see, for example, is the Young Bucks come back and they're back as the saviors of AEW after what they were doing for most of the last year. I think that would be fucking terrible. I do think there's a chance that could happen, though. Kenny, yes, it would make things more interesting if he was involved in that mix, but with any luck, by the time he's back in the world title picture, the Death Riders will be a thing of the past. Darby, you mentioned All In. I don't know who's talking about Darby for All In. That doesn't even make any sense because he's doing the mountain climb. It was in April, I think. And I think it's 2 or 3 months. Who knows what his status is going to be for All In? We're looking at Revolution. Revolution is a year since he and Sting wrestled the Bucks and Sting retired. And I think Revolution would be a good place for him to beat Moxley and win the championship. And he's not going to have it for very long. It would be a token run before he goes off to do, what he's going to do. You got Christian running around, though, with that contract. So Christian's a slimy little shit. Darby winning the title at Revolution, and then even if it's not that night, maybe it's that Wednesday, Christian basically steals the title away from him, right? The ultimate heel move, puts Darby out of the picture. They could do a big injury angle. We don't see him then for a few months. And then you go from there. Whatever the plan would be for Christian, because if Christian wins the title, he's not going to have a long run. And I don't need to see him have a long run. But you got to come up with, okay, if Christian wins, who takes it from him? What's the chain of events that follows that? Who beats Christian? Who beats that person? Are you building to something in Texas? That's a separate conversation. But Darby at All In, that's July. I mean, are you going to continue this Death Rider stuff until July just to build to Darby Allin? No, you do that at Revolution, and then you go from there.
I agree with you. I mean, I would end it and wrap it up at Revolution, but I just don't see them admitting that this thing has been a failure and wrapping it up that soon. I think
I did with the Elite. I mean, the Elite technically is still a thing, but I mean, the whole Elite story's been dead for months.
Yeah.
And this one is following in its path. So they may not want to admit it, but clearly the Death Rider stuff is not really generating a ton of interest. So at some point you have to just pivot in a different direction, hopefully some direction that will actually work and will be of interest to people, because this is just dying on the vine. I mean, there's nothing interesting about this. Nothing.
Zero. There's zero interest in this at all. I'm honestly tired of talking about it every week. I don't know where they're going. And I hope you are correct. I hope they wrap it up by Revolution. No. But Jon Moxley is embroiled in this new thing with FTR and Cope.
Cope. Oh my God, I forgot about Cope.
Adam Copeland is now Cope. But we're not allowed to call it Adam Copeland. It's off limits now completely.
Apparently on the screen, even in the graphic, it said Cope. It's the rated R superstar Cope.
Well, I don't know. He's gonna have to cope that we're not gonna get used to it.
It's a weird thing, because it's one thing if you're not really like an established personality. He's a Hall of Famer who's been doing this for multiple decades, and he was Edge for so long, and then he started using his real name when he came to AEW because he couldn't use Edge anymore. And so now finally, what was he, 50 years old? He's been doing this forever. Now we have another name change, and it's not like a radical name change. I mean, they're literally chopping 4 letters off of his name. I think it's goofy. I know he talked about doing this like a year ago, so it's not a huge surprise. He just thinks it's too wordy to say the rated R superstar Adam Copeland. We're talking about 4 letters, dude. Like, was anybody complaining of all of the problems that people talk about? Was anybody complaining that, Edge's name is too long, so I feel like it should be shortened? But that's what he wanted to do. It's clearly a personal thing to him. AEW's got other problems, so this is not what I would consider to be a major problem. It was just weird that on commentary, the announcers kept saying it over and over and over again to like really drive it home. And it's like, boy, it's like a Vince McMahon thing. Like, they're really going all out here where they chop this guy's name off and they're just trying to like burn it into your brain. And it's like, okay, but in the grand scheme of things, in the bigger picture here, where are we going with this, right? Are we doing Copeland and Moxley at Grand Slam? Is that the direction we're headed in here? Do they do it sooner?
Probably. I would say Grand Slam or Revolution.
I would hope Grand Slam so they could do the Darby thing at Revolution.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, what other wordy pro wrestlers have we seen in our lifetime? Bret the Hitman Hart, Stone Cold, Steve Austin. What else? I mean...
I didn't look at Copeland as being wordy. Apparently, that's a wordy name.
I don't know, man. Did you see his explanation for it though? He's like on the marquee. I think Cope versus Mox. He's telling Renee.
The marquee. What is this? 1982? The fucking marquee. There's no marquee anymore. The marquee says WWE or AEW. They don't have people's names in the marquee anymore.
Listen, at some point, Tony is going to have to say to one of these guys, listen, man, I love you. I love what you've done for the business and what you've given to the business. That's a shit idea, man. I think you should just stay with Adam Copeland. But, I mean, it is what it is. Tony's going to let these guys do whatever he wants, and he's now Cope. I'm going to call him Adam Copeland. I'm not going to call him Cope. I think it sounds silly. But it'll
be interchangeable.
I know.
Whatever. It's not, again, in the big picture, it's not a big deal. One thing, just to go back to the New Japan stuff for a second, because I know we talked about this briefly in the sound check, and I did want to bring this up because there was some controversy coming out of the shows. We were talking about the announcers before on Corey Graves and WWE. There's an announcer in New Japan, for those who don't follow the product. His name is Chris Charlton. And he is sort of their resident historian. He's very good as far as doing the translations on commentary when people are doing promos in Japanese. And he knows a lot of the history and a lot of the background on the wrestlers. And Walker Stewart, by the way, and I put him over too, he became their new English play-by-play announcer last year after Kevin Kelly left. And I think he's great. I think he does a really great job, and he's very young too.
He does
22.
He does not look 22 years old.
No, he doesn't. No, you would never think he's 22 years old, but like when he started last year, he's only 21.
It's crazy.
And but he's got a great voice for it, and I think he does a good job. So Chris Charlton has been there for a number of years, and he was going pretty hard on commentary, like anti-AEW. And it was noticeable in a few matches, and especially during the Omega match. And he was taking the stance of, at one point he said Tony Khan is just a money mark. And he brought up some of the big names that have left New Japan to go to AEW. He mentioned Okada and Ospreay. I think Jay White. And he made a comment at one point like, and what have they done? Right. Which is kind of a goofy thing because, Okada has been largely protected. He just won the Continental Classic. Ospreay's done a bunch of stuff, but I looked at that and said, okay, he's trying to create some heat between the two promotions, right? It's all just part of whatever it is that they're trying to generate on commentary. And I didn't think it was a big deal. I really didn't. But I did see people online, mostly AEW fans, who, of course, were all up in their feelings, and they were very offended by all the things that Chris said because can't say anything bad.
Well, I'm shocked.
Yeah. So they were very upset about this. But I was like, okay, whatever. They're trying to create something and get something going here. Little inter-promotional needling, right? No big deal. Then the news came out. Meltzer report, I saw him report it first, that Charlton has been suspended indefinitely. And since then, there's been other reports that have come out. I think Fightful might have said that it's a 2-month suspension.
Yeah.
So it sounds like a legitimate thing. It doesn't sound like it's a work. It sounds like he upset people that he shouldn't have upset, and now he's been suspended for it. And the word on the street is that this was a New Japan decision. So we have no idea how Tony Khan felt about it. It's not like, oh, Tony Khan got mad and he wanted them to take action. We don't know that. It sounds like it was a New Japan call. But I hear this and I'm just like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, is this really a punishable offense that you're going to suspend the guy for a couple of months over something like this?
You're in that whole realm more than I am. I don't really dive into New Japan at all, but I did keep a close eye on what Omega and Gabe Kidd were doing, and to me, Gabe Kidd said
far worse,
and he was actually a little bit more volatile in his delivery in regards to what he said about Tony Khan and AEW. But this guy gets punished for it. So when I read it as an outsider who doesn't really pay attention to New Japan, I'm like, all right, they're just keeping the storyline. They're keeping kayfabe with this whole thing, which is great. Then I got thinking to myself this morning when I was prepping for the show tonight here with you. I said, man, this is very weird because at first I thought this was all part of a plan to maybe build to a longer storyline when we get to Forbidden Door in London this summer. Because that's exactly what Forbidden Door needs, because you and I and everybody else have kind of said the fucking concept for Forbidden Door is dead. So it's like, all right, they're trying to resuscitate the concept because how much longer can they go on with the current way that they're doing Forbidden Door? This would have been great if they continued this and built this from this weekend to July. But apparently that's not the case.
Yeah, and they could have built a real story around that, actually heading into Forbidden Door, just to change things up a little bit going into that show. So I don't even think it was a bad idea. But I just look at this and I go, look, if the people there were that upset because they felt like it could be an issue, maybe they were looking at the situation with GCW and Effie and all that, and they said, look, we don't want to get on Tony's bad side. They're our business partner, right? Whatever it was, then have a conversation with the guy and say, look, I know what you're trying to do here, but we're not going in that direction, right? So don't do that again. But when I heard that he was suspended, because they have their New Year Dash show every year, that Monday after Wrestle Kingdom, and he wasn't there. And it got a lot of people talking, and that's when the news came out. So I already thought it was bullshit. But then I saw Tony Schiavone, who went on his Twitter, and he tweeted something, and then he quickly deleted it, but he did tweet it. And he put something up, and he said, and this is clearly, in reference to Chris Charlton, because he tagged him in it. He said, hey, and then he tagged him on Twitter, speaking for all of us in AEW, GFY, and speaking for all of us who have been around you, take a shower once in a while.
That's exactly what they think of their fan base too. It's not even hiding it.
Now look, I don't even think that Schiavone should be suspended for that. But if you were to compare the two instances here of what you think would be a more punishable offense, right? Like Charlton gets suspended for what he did. Schiavone, who's in a very high position in AEW, he's not just an announcer. I mean, he wears many hats behind the scenes. I think he's part of talent relations. And he goes and tweets that. Now, at least he had the foresight to get rid of it, because all it's doing is creating a pile-on effect on Chris, who, again, I don't really think did anything wrong. But this whole thing is just embarrassing now. And if nobody would have said a word about this, nobody would be talking about it right now. Yeah, nobody would be talking about it. It would either be
he put it up and then deleted it, which to me it would kind of convey that it is actually a plan and all the work. It's like, why put it up and then delete it?
Because he thought better of it, or Tony said, "Look, the other Tony, there's too many Tonys." Tony may have gone to him and maybe told him, "Take it down." Like, we're not going to go tit for tat like this. I don't know, and you have to leave open the possibility that maybe it ends up being a work. It could be a GCW thing where it started out real and then they kind of come to their senses and they say, okay, maybe we can turn this into something. I hope that's what happens because, like you said, it would make things a little more interesting if they continue to do this off and on throughout the year. And then when we get to August, it's like you've got a real rivalry between these two companies where it feels like they don't like each other, right? They're business partners. They're co-hosting this show, but they don't like each other. And you have at least a couple of matches on the card that feel like, man, these guys really, want to kill each other. That would add a little, gravitas to the card that maybe it doesn't have anymore. After, what is this going to be, year 4 now of Forbidden Door coming up?
Yeah.
So I hope they come to their senses. I hope he's not gone for 2 months. I think that's bullshit. I think that's a complete overreaction. But the only reason it became a story is because they took action. And if they were that bothered by it and they don't want to go in that direction, just tell them, look, lay off. Don't do that again. And then it's a non-story. But when you do stuff like this, it turns into a big story.
Yeah, I heard from a few different people. I've seen some chatter online about this particular story and the fact that it was all a New Japan decision and not a Tony Khan thing, and he had nothing to do with it. Again, we don't really know, but Tony's previous history has kind of led him to be a little petty when he wants to be, but we don't know for sure. Is this a situation where New Japan is just simply protecting themselves because they don't want the partnership with AEW to go awry or they don't want it to go south?
Yeah.
But I mean, how much? I would say they need AEW because I would say the Wrestle Dynasty show, from what I heard, was a lot better than Wrestle Kingdom. Yeah, but why would AEW not want to work with New Japan? On the flip side of that, why would there be some hostility there in that potential partnership?
I don't know that there is hostility.
I feel like some people were claiming that there could be. They don't want it to be, and that New Japan could potentially be working with WWE in the future if they want to. I don't know how likely that is.
That's why it's in AEW's best interest to continue working with New Japan, because the minute that stops, I am sure that Triple H and Nick Khan are going to be having a conversation with President Tanahashi.
Yeah. Who by the way, that's where I was going with it. Yes.
Yeah. Who, by the way, is in his final full year in the ring. John Cena is not the only one retiring at the end of this year. He's going to have his final match at the Tokyo Dome next January 4th. And when I did my predictions for this year, I threw it out there. I said, look, I think that we are going to get at some point, and maybe it's just me wishing, because I think it would just be cool, a Cena Tanahashi match. I do think that even if they continue to work with AEW, that unless there's some exclusivity to their partnership, which I'm guessing there isn't, there's nothing stopping Tanahashi and New Japan from doing business with WWE. And WWE has shown they're more open now to doing business with outside promotions. So it's in AEW's best interest, and it's in New Japan's best interest, because AEW kind of gives them their foot in the door here in the States to continue working together. But that doesn't mean you can't build up a little bit of animosity to build interest in your big Forbidden Door show, in the summer. So again, hopefully they'll come to their senses, and we'll see what happens from here. But I just think the whole thing is bullshit.
Well, what's stopping New Japan from working with WWE? What could Tony Khan do about that? I mean,
I don't know. I don't know if there's any sort of either exclusivity written down somewhere, or if there's some sort of it's kind of like an honor code where it's like, look, we're working with you, and so we don't want to rock the boat and hurt his feelings, and so we're not going to do business with them.
But from your vantage point, again, I don't watch, I don't really care. But what has AEW done to propel New Japan since their partnership? Have they made New Japan better? I mean, I barely even seen any promotion for this fucking show.
No, they've taken most of their stars. Yeah. Is what's happened. And I say taken. Look, their contracts come due, and Tony throws a lot of money at them, and they go and move to the States, and they go to AEW. Okada went, Ospreay went, Jay White went, and there have been others before that. Right? Omega, the Bucks. So New Japan has gotten the short end of the stick on this, because a lot of their stars are now AEW stars. But it benefits them. How does it benefit them? It benefits them because they have a working relationship with one of the two biggest promotions in the world. And it can get their talent visibility on AEW programming. Whatever that may be worth at this point to them, it gets them visibility. They were on Access TV, New Japan was. That deal just ended at the end of the year. So I don't believe at the moment they have any television now in the United States. So I don't know if they're working on a new deal, but as of this moment, they don't have TV here anymore. AEW is basically their TV, right? They're always putting New Japan stars on their show. How many times have we seen Ishii, wrestling on Dynamite or Collision?
Please, I don't want to think about it anymore. Even though I heard he had a great match this past weekend. Where's that Ishii on television?
Well, but for that reason, and when it comes to the Dome, and they can get these AEW stars, like Kenny Omega didn't have his first match back in an AEW ring. He had it back in the Tokyo Dome. That's the benefit for Tanahashi and New Japan. So again, it can benefit both sides, but this nonsense, just doesn't help anybody out. It just makes people look at this and just feel shitty about the whole situation.
Yeah, I'm actually, I'm not that I'm hoping. I think it would be cool. I said the same thing about Okada joining WWE and seeing how Triple H would use him on WWE television. I think it would be a cool experience to see that. I don't know how soon that could happen, but I'd like to see it.
It could happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
We didn't even talk about this. Omos is now a tag team champion.
Good for him. I saw
Homo sapiens rise. Okay. He's got all these Homo sapiens, they call themselves. Huge fans of his. He is now one half of the GHC Tag Team Champions in Pro Wrestling Noah.
Guy's over there manhandling Marufuji. What the fuck's going on over there?
Yeah. So that's not the sort of thing you would have seen even a couple of years ago. So WWE is willing to play ball now in a way that they weren't before. And never say never. I could absolutely see them and New Japan working together in some form or fashion this year. Not next year, this year. I could see it happening.
I guess we'll stick with the AEW stuff, being that we're talking AEW. We'll go back to Dynamite. The other big thing that happened on Dynamite, Jason, and this was a cause for concern amongst many who watched the show. I actually watched the show half and half. I watched it on TBS and I watched it on Max. The Max picture was beautiful. I mean, it's so much better. There is commercials. People were complaining, well, I'm paying for so-and-so on Max. I didn't really expect commercials. I'm like, we'll get used to it. It's fine. The picture looks a lot better.
They were complaining about that with Netflix last night.
I know. Just get a VPN. You get no commercials and watch it via your VPN. You get everything that's happening backstage. But I thought the picture was great on Max. Good for them. I thought the sound quality was a little bit better. I feel like when you watch it via, I got Verizon here. I watch it through TBS. There's an echo, whether it's the theme music in the arena or someone's conducting a backstage interview or a segment. There's just this terrible echo. It's like they're in the fucking hallway, and it just comes off terrible. But I thought the Max feed was really good. And the other big thing that happened on Wednesday, Jason, was the usage of Jeff Jarrett and the fact that he came out and teased the potential retirement. They made this big thing in the back with Sanjay Dutt and his wife, and Jay Lethal and Satnam Singh was there. Do you really want to go and do this? You know, and he goes out there. He
had the boots.
He leaves his boots. Yeah, he had the boots. He leaves the boots in the ring, and then he says he signed a performance contract, his last performance contract with AEW, and he wants to win championship gold, not any championship gold, but the AEW World Championship. And come tomorrow, he's going to be in this gauntlet match, which I'm fearing for my life, that he may end up winning this thing.
No, you know what? You shouldn't fear for your life, because if he wins the gauntlet, that means they're going to give him a title match soon, and it'll be over.
I know.
So that might not be such a bad thing.
It's the point, though. Like we all ask for change. Tony, please change. We want long-term story. We want you to go back and give us what we feel we're missing from the old AEW in the current product. And here we got Jeff Jarrett and Adam Copeland, who's now Cope, and Christian Cage. It's like Bobby Lashley. It's like, what are we doing on this show, man? Jeff Jarrett, how'd you feel about it? Because I know it's going to be a temporary thing, but I think the optics of it just look terrible from a fan's point of view.
Yeah, I'm not thrilled about it. It doesn't move me. You know, they did the story with Sting and his retirement last year, and he retired as one half of the tag team champion. Even Tony never put the world title on him. But Sting is Sting. And I'm not saying that Jarrett isn't a legend in the business either, but we had Sting, and then we had the Bryan Danielson story last year where he won the Owen Hart tournament, and he went to Wembley, and he won the world championship, and he beat Swerve Strickland to win the world title. We just had a story like this not that long ago. And so now they want, us to kind of buy into Jarrett, and he had people cheering for him on Wednesday. I watched Collision on Saturday, and he comes out, and the reaction for him on Saturday was not what it was on Wednesday. It was like polite and respectful applause. But you could tell these people were not overly enthusiastic to see Jeff Jarrett come out there for an enhancement match. And I'm sitting here and I'm watching this show, and I'm like, why am I watching a Jeff Jarrett enhancement match in 2025? Like, I'm watching Superstars.
That's a good question, man. What the fuck are you doing?
Like, I'm watching Superstars in 1995 when he was Double J. I think we know who Jeff Jarrett. It'd be the equivalent of like when he was, when Sting was still there. We got to give Sting some enhancement matches. I don't know that people are really accustomed to what this guy can do in the ring. So let's put him in there with a couple of job guys so that he can show people what he's made of.
Well, they did the same thing with Will Hobbs on Wednesday. I said, what the fuck do you need an enhancement match for this guy for? Like, we don't know what the fuck he's capable of.
But that at least makes more sense, because Will Hobbs is one of their younger stars, and he goes in there and he just obliterates people, and it looks cool. Jeff Jarrett is not going in there and obliterating anybody. He's in there beating up Aaron Solo. Nobody gives a fuck. So I'm like, okay, are we going to have 6 months of this, leading up to him getting a world championship match that he probably will not win, but I don't rule out the possibility that Tony Khan could give him a token title win. But is that what we're doing here? That's why I said if he wins the gauntlet, yeah, it's going to be stupid, but at least then he'll cash in his opportunity quickly. It's like ripping off a Band-Aid, and we can be done with this. Well, like you said, the optics of it. It's not great. And I don't see that this is a story it's certainly not a story that's going to, get people who aren't watching the show to watch the show. So in the grand picture, it's not going to make a huge difference, but I'm watching this just thinking like, what are we doing here? The one good thing I will say, if I had to play devil's advocate, is the fact that we now have multiple people who are laying claim to wanting to be the world champion. Like, I'm a big believer that everything should revolve around your world title. And if you have 4, 5, 6 different people at once saying, I want to be the world champion, that's a good thing, because it makes your title, which, by the way, we haven't seen the title in 4 months, like the physical title, we just haven't seen it. But we have what feels like almost half a dozen different people who want that belt, right? We have Copeland, and we have Darby has said he wants Mox. Jay White still wants the title. Hangman, Jarrett. That's a good thing. But how much time are we going to dedicate to this when there's so many other people who could be using that real estate on that show?
That's a good question. Ratings were below 600,000 on Wednesday for their Their Fight for the Fallen show. I don't.
We're not gonna know.
No.
Numbers wise, because now you're splitting the audience with Max. So how many people are, like you said, the picture was so much nicer on Max. How many people are watching on Max now as opposed to, cable television? The numbers are never going to be what they are now. Like from this point forward, you're never going to see it. You're probably never going to see another 700,000 AEW show.
No.
So we just don't know exactly what the total audience is going to be, and I don't trust that they're going to tell us because it's probably not that great. So, I mean, you could take those numbers and make of them what you will, but they should be investing in stories and people who will hopefully move the needle in some way. And I look at the stories they're telling right now. Swerve and Ricochet, okay, they took a big leap on Wednesday. That was, to me, the best part of the show. Was the follow-up with Ricochet was exactly what it needed to be. For the first time, he didn't look like a total geek out there. He looked like something out of American Psycho. He's got the suit on and the glasses, but he's got blood all over his face from Swerve. And he's hitting him with golden scissors?
Golden scissors.
Yeah, which, I mean, if this isn't leading to him trying to cut Swerve's hair, I don't know what we're doing here, because Swerve called him a bald bitch. And so he's walking around with a pair of scissors, right? You would think he would try to cut the guy's hair and make him bald now. But like Swerve and Ricochet, Cope and Mox. God, that sounds weird. Cope and Mox. Okay, we're obviously going to be getting that soon. The Acclaimed. And what's going on with them? Are they going to split? Are they not going to split? I think they are. I happen to think Bowens is going to the Hurt Syndicate. I think that's going to be the big swerve. But they're telling a story with those two where they're having problems. Toni Storm, when is she going to realize who she is and get the shot against Mariah May, right? Probably Grand Slam. So there are things happening. And Omega's coming back. MJF, I didn't even mention him. Finally, he brings up the fact that, oh, by the way, I lost my Triple B. I want to get my belt back. I don't know why it took him 6 months to realize this, but okay, great. So now he wants in also.
As long as the feud with Adam Cole is over.
Thank God. I mean, that's just...
Maybe. We don't really know for sure.
Yeah, you got to be careful. You never know. But I was relieved, at least, when I saw that promo and him saying, I want to go after the world title. Good. He should. So there are positive signs if they follow through on them. And if Jarrett gets his shot and loses quickly, then at least we'll be done with this.
Well, the Ricochet angle on Dynamite was really well done. It took 4 months for us to get there, and they treated him like shit and a geek, throwing toilet paper at him. But I thought it was the visual presentation of him wearing the white dress shirt, Swerve's blood on the white dress shirt, the fact that he didn't do that goofy laugh that he did a couple weeks prior. He sat in the chair very stoically, like he was about to just murder him in the ring. This is, correct me if I'm wrong, Killshot versus Prince Puma, where we're living the Lucha Underground days between these two here.
Yes, we are.
That's I like it. If they could do anything close to what they did there, I mean, we're in a good place. But I got to ask you this, Jason, because I asked Jesse this on Wednesday. AEW typically does a lot of similar character work with some of their talent. I mean, how is this going to look compared to when, I don't know, I wouldn't say Adam Page was similar to what Ricochet was doing, but that psychotic, just mentally deranged mentality of a character just going to the lengths that they go to. I mean, Swerve's house was burned down by Page. Now we got Ricochet stabbing Swerve in the head with a golden pair of scissors. Maybe just Swerve attracts sickos. I don't really know. No pun intended. But, I mean, how similar is it to the body work that Page was doing? Are you a little hesitant that it may kind of bleed into what we've seen previously? How are you feeling about that?
No. I mean, that doesn't bother me at all. I think this is exactly what they need to be doing now with Ricochet. Everybody was complaining and bitching about, oh, he looks like a geek and he looks like a dork and, the way he's doing the cackle and everything else. This was only 1 week. I mean, for all we know, he could be back to that this Wednesday. When he came out, he was on the Tokyo Dome show. He was on the second one. He was at Wrestle Dynasty in the main event. And that show only did 16,000 people. But, we had Ricochet in the main event of the Tokyo Dome. Probably not their biggest main event they could have done. But he came out and he was, he wasn't a psycho. He was, cocky, arrogant Ricochet. But if we get a mixture of the two going forward, then I think that would be better off for his character. He's got to show a more sinister side. People can make fun of him and mock him and throw toilet paper at him and push his buttons. When you do that, though, there has to be a reaction. And we saw the reaction on Wednesday. I don't know if he's going to be quite that, he called him a sicko. I don't know if he's going to be like that every week, but it's a side of him we needed to see. I don't worry about how similar it is or isn't to the Swerve and Hangman stuff. Let's get that first match and see how it is. I mean, if they're going to do a Texas death match and try to replicate what Swerve did with Hangman, then yeah, that's ridiculous. I wouldn't copy and paste. But he needed to show that harder edge. He did, and I have no complaints about that. Now we'll see what they do this week.
Do they give him the win over Swerve and then have him join the Hurt Syndicate because maybe the Hurt Syndicate is impressed by his ability to go to the lengths that they wanted him to because they hurt people? Do you see that happening?
I don't know, because I just have this sneaking suspicion that Anthony Bowens may end up joining the Hurt Syndicate. They've been going in so hard about Max Caster, and then MVP mentioned the other week about how I've revoked our offer because he took too long to respond. And it just feels like the kind of angle where at the end of it, it's like, oh, the other guy ends up joining. And I think there's singles potential in Bowens as much as there is in Caster, if not more. So I don't know about adding him and Ricochet, because I tend to I just really feel Bowens is, I feel like if anybody's going to be added, I just feel like it's going to be him. I don't know that Ricochet needs to join the Hurt Syndicate right away. Maybe a little further down the road, I could see that happening, where MVP is like, oh, you've proven yourself worthy. This is a side of you that we didn't know existed. And then maybe he makes the offer and he accepts it. So right away, though, I don't think he needs to be part of the Hurt Syndicate.
Well, we may not even get there because I don't know if you guys saw the rumor or the tweet that she put out. She posted on X that Samantha Irvin claiming that she would return to wrestling, not to ring announce, but she says she wants to return this time as a manager, and someone asked her if she's going to return to pro wrestling, and she said simply, I will. Do you see her coming on in and being the valet or manager for Ricochet under this new character that he is portraying on Dynamite?
Sure, why not? I think it would get mega heat. Right? The two of them just riling people up. I think it could get great heat. So I say, why not? I mean, one of the reasons she left WWE is because she wanted to perform. She wanted to be a manager or have some sort of role on the actual show and be a character on the show. So if that's something that she wants to do, then you know what? I say, why not give it a shot? Add her to the act and let's see what they can do. I just feel like she may end up getting more over than him. That's happened before.
That's definitely a possibility.
That's a very good possibility. She may end up outshining him, but I say give it a shot. See what you can do with it. Have fun with it.
So Dynamite this coming Wednesday, we have tomorrow actually. We have Bobby Lashley versus Mark Briscoe, which was announced. We have a women's gauntlet match where the number one contender will be I guess the winner coming out of this gauntlet match will get the champion at Grand Slam in Australia. And
well, we're talking about tomorrow night.
Yeah, no. Tomorrow's the men's. The following week is the women's.
The following week.
Okay, yes. Sorry. Yes, that was announced. I mean, Tony Khan's got all these fucking announcements. I don't know which is which. Tomorrow's is the men's, and then the following week is the women's. But they did announce a participant for the number one spot in the gauntlet match. It will be Tony Storm versus Chris Statlander versus Willow Nightingale, which is three of their best. So that should be really, really fun. And Kenny Omega is going to be on the show tomorrow. MJF is going to be on the show tomorrow. Jeff Jarrett, unfortunately, is going to be on the show tomorrow. So they all have segments. So that is all that is announced for Dynamite on Wednesday night. And unfortunately, I did mention this on Wednesday last week with Jesse. Unfortunately, the Pointer Sisters is the new theme officially for Dynamite.
Are you excited, JD?
No.
Come on.
I am not.
Come on. Slandering the Pointers. It was a wild thought that I had the other day. We are living at a time where we had the Pointer Sisters open up Dynamite on Wednesday. That's the new song for Dynamite. Tony Khan brought back Elton John for Collision on Saturday. And I'm watching this show. And we have Elton John because they got away from the music for a while, but now it's back. And we had a main event in the main event, we had Edge and Chris Jericho on that show. Jeff Jarrett had an enhancement match on that show. We're living in a timeline where we have Obsession back and Emotion for Saturday night's main event. It really, truly does right now feel like we are living in a time warp. I mean, it just feels.
I wonder why the interest in AEW is so down.
I don't know that you can just lay the blame strictly on that. I think there's other issues in addition to that. But yes,
how uncool is that, though? I mean, listen. I mean, you're a smart guy, man. It's if you're gonna think about a pro wrestling theme song, is that the one that you're gonna go with? Like, who made that decision, and why was that? I know he made it, but why is nobody speaking up about it? And be like, man, this sucks. Just no, please. What
are they gonna say? They're gonna go to him and go, look, your genre of music that you like sucks. Like, no one's gonna go over to him and say that. They're gonna be like, oh, okay, boss, that sounds great. That's great. I just want to know how much he paid for it, because I'm sure that didn't come cheap.
No, it did not. I'm assuming it did not. But yes, that is the
when I heard it, though, I will say my first thought when I heard it and the show came on the air, it reminded me of these fan-made videos that you'll see where they'll take the beginning of the show and put like random music to it. And that's what it sounded like, but only it's the real intro now for the show. So that was a little weird, but I didn't hate it as much as other people did. Yes, it doesn't fit the vibe and the energy. Look, the original intro to the show back in 2019. Let's go back to that. The colors and the music.
Sure.
Like, that to me, that represents Dynamite. Like, that's what Dynamite was. Why can't we go back to that?
I mean, this guy has now bought the rights to 2 Guns N' Roses songs. There's nothing else in their collection that would fit for a Dynamite theme.
Well, they have Metallica for Sting, right? Seek and Destroy.
That would be great. Got no complaints from me there, but yes, unfortunately,
well, I'm just saying songs he spent the rights money on the rights to, and of course, Final Countdown. Like he's not shy. He's taken that Warner Brothers Discovery money that he's now started receiving, and he's spreading it out, and he's spending it now on different things. It's a good thing Rampage got canceled, because my God, I mean, we have the Pointer Sisters on Wednesday. We have Elton John on Saturday. What song would he have come up with for Rampage, do you think?
I don't want to know. He's got to pay the
Bee Gees? Maybe the Bee Gees.
Don't give him any ideas, please. Not like we would watch, but I mean, Shockwave is a rumor. We don't know.
What was the popular song in the 60s? Oh God, it was like the big popular song, Chubby Checker. What was the song?
I have no fucking clue what you're talking about.
I'm asking you, fucking Mr. Alter Bridge over here for fucking Chubby Checker. You guys in the chat know what I'm talking about, though.
No, I don't know if they know what you're talking about, man. We have to look that up. But
you might be right. What was the big Chubby Checker song? And this is going to annoy me now. The Twist.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I know what that is.
Do the Twist.
Yes.
That would have been the song if Rampage was still a thing.
I was about to fucking die on my grandma. Hey, Grandma, what is this guy talking about? What's the song from the 1960s?
Your grandma might want to tune into Dynamite now. Yeah, she might be into the whole Pointer Sisters thing.
If she was watching, if I was watching with her, she would absolutely know what that was. Yes.
Part of that demographic.
Oh, look at that. Tony's going for the fucking the coveted 80 to 90 demo. What is that?
They're the ones with all the money, right? Instead of giving it to the young. Instead of giving it to the grandkids, they could just spend it on AEW pay-per-views.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're going to do. Apparently, the chat is saying The Rock gave his daughter the rock bottom tonight. Was that it? Was that the big Rock plot twist tonight?
Is that the Rock heel turn that we didn't get on Raw last night? He waited to do man-on-woman violence on NXT, or are they trolling?
You got to be trolling. Did he come out yet? I can't imagine he's out before 10 o'clock. So
let me see.
Oh man, let's move on here. We got let's go to SmackDown. Let's talk a little bit about SmackDown. I know SmackDown was the first show of the new year that is now 3 hours. They are still on the USA Network. They go from 2 to 3 hours. Oh no, Sidro said is that. Listen, Sidro, enough of your jokes, man. Okay, he was trolling. So no rock bottom to Ava, which, I mean, depending on who you like. I mean, some people might want to see that. I don't know. But SmackDown, Jason, we got a big cash in. That happened with Tiffany Stratton. Finally,
before you get into that though, you mentioned SmackDown now being 3 hours.
Yes.
I was relieved to see Triple H specify the other day that this is temporary.
He did.
So I don't know how many months. It could be 6 months. It could be 3 months. I don't know why it's temporary, but I'm not going to argue it. Apparently, it's only 3 hours for a few months, and then they're going to revert back to 2 hours, which I think is good news.
You know, I was thinking about it. I say after WrestleMania, they go back to 2 hours. I think he wants that extra hour just to play out WrestleMania season. That's the only explanation I could really think of.
Well, I mean, that's fine, but I just think it's going to be much better overall if the show is 2 hours instead of 3. I just feel like 3 hours on Monday, 3 hours on Friday. How long before NXT goes 3 hours? I don't want to know either, but you just get to a point where you are going to overload and burn out your audience. And so we know Netflix, it's going to be 3-ish hours each week. SmackDown does not need to be 3 hours. On a Friday night, you don't need 3 hours. I'm sorry.
No, not with that roster, unless they make some drastic changes there, which we have not seen yet. The transfer window is still open. We're getting teases of crossover still. But the biggest thing that happened, I guess we'll start with the most important, because there was another segment I definitely want to get into, is the Tiffany Stratton cash-in and Nia Naomi championship match, which I thought was really, really good television. I know I've given Nia a hard time here and there. I did give her a lot of praise on my end on Friday, saying that she's come back, and clearly this run, Jason, has been a lot better than the first. She looks a little bit more motivated. She's slimmed down a little bit, which she looks great. And I feel like her body of work overall has been a thumbs up. There's obviously been stinkers in there. The Liv Morgan match comes to mind in Saudi. I thought that was fucking terrible. Some of the matches that we've seen thrown in there along this reign, the War Games thing is another situation that didn't look good for her. But it all depends on who she's in the ring with. And clearly, she's found an opponent in Naomi that she works incredibly well with. And this is the second match, and I would say 2.5 months that we've seen now between these two that has really given us a great match. And Nia and Naomi on Friday night, I thought was a really good piece of business with the cash-in. I thought everybody was so hyped for it. I thought the way that they set it up, the way that there was a little tease there where she wasn't going to do it, she ended up doing it anyway. Then we got Bianca doing the KOD off the second rope to Nia, which looked phenomenal.
Which was incredible.
I mean, all of it just was really, really good on Friday night, which made for a really great moment. What did you think of the overall cash-in? I know you're relieved to see it. I know you and I both talked about it on this show and individually that Charlotte is probably going to factor into Tiffany's WrestleMania plans. We don't really know for sure, but I think a lot of people are thinking along the same lines. But what did you think of the cash-in, how to play out, and what are you expecting from Tiffany's title run now?
I think it played out great, and I am relieved that it's over. I just think they went overboard on all the cash-in teases. And I understand doing some to set people up, this is why it works so well, because you had people thinking, oh God, like after she hit Naomi in the head with the briefcase, it's like, not this shit again. And how underwhelming would that have been, just to lower, kind of lull them into that false sense of security. And then all of a sudden, boom, right? She hits Nia in the back with the briefcase. But I just think all of the constant teases for so many months, it just got to the point of like, can we just get this over with? But then when they executed it, it was executed in a very smart way, because they did kind of bring you down just to bring you back up. And people just like Tiffany Stratton. She's been getting cheers from the moment she arrived on the main roster. And I go all the way back to Elimination Chamber last year. She was the star of that match. They were in another country, and people were going crazy for her. And it's been that way pretty much the entire year. So I don't know officially that she's a babyface now, but the fans are basically turning her into one. They were elated when she cashed in, and they were just excited that they saw a cash in and a title change. So I thought that they executed it perfectly. Honestly, I understand why they didn't, but I would have ended the show with it. Given what they actually closed with, I think it would have been fine if you would have closed the show with that, but I get why they didn't. But where she goes from here is going to be very interesting now, because does she officially sort of internally become a babyface, or is she still technically a heel for what I feel like is going to be the inevitable program heading into WrestleMania with Charlotte Flair? Because I do think Charlotte and Tiffany is likely going to be the direction for Las Vegas. And what happens there could go either way. I mean, I have a sense of what's probably going to happen there, but it's a match we've never seen before. It's a match that I think has the potential to be excellent. And I feel like the idea of Charlotte in a title match at WrestleMania when she's not even back yet, I know that's going to make some people just want to vomit. But if you're being honest with yourself, do you expect her to be involved in anything else at WrestleMania?
What else is there for her to be involved in?
Exactly. So you just have to accept it. Tiffany cashed in her Money in the Bank. Charlotte is going to cash in her Charlotte in the Bank. And whether she wins the Rumble, whether she wins a chamber match, whether she wins a number one contenders gauntlet on TV, I think it's inevitable that when they get to Vegas, it's going to be Charlotte and it's going to be Tiffany. And I think that's going to be your WWE Women's Championship match.
Who wins when we get to WrestleMania if that's the case? Does Tiffany get past the torch from Charlotte, or do we get Charlotte holding the belt for another 2 or 3 months for an unmemorable reign, only for Tiffany to win it back and become a 2-time champion? What's the direction there?
Well, that's why I brought up the whole babyface heel dynamic, because I almost feel like whether they want it or not, the fans are going to will it, where Tiffany is the babyface and Charlotte is the heel. It's just going to be so much easier, I feel like, for her to be booed against Tiffany because people love Tiffany. Like when Charlotte first comes back, she's going to get a great reaction. She's been gone for so long. She's coming back from this devastating injury. But I think the right dynamic is Charlotte as the crafty heel who wants to once again be number one and, you know, reign as the queen bee on SmackDown, and people are going to resent her for it. And I think she wins. Like, it's early yet. We don't even know for a fact this is going to be the match, but let's say it is. I think Charlotte would have to be the favorite. I mean, you pad her resume with another title run, and Tiffany now, as a full-fledged babyface, has to now chase to get the belt back.
Okay, I mean, I
know some people don't want to hear it, but that's how I see it playing.
You're looking at one of them here. Listen, the only positive that I see coming out of that is the fact that Charlotte would be presented as a heel. I think babyface Charlotte is nauseating. I think she's a little bit more digestible as a heel. So I got that to look forward to at least.
Oh, you mean you didn't enjoy that? You didn't think that was a great promo?
No, that's awful.
Really?
How you feeling about the Jade Cargill attacker after what we saw on Friday night? Are you still leaning towards the usual suspects here, or do you have anybody else in mind?
I'm still leaning towards Naomi. I mean, they haven't done anything to convince me that somebody else is the standout, although apparently they have 2 potential names. That's what I heard. They have 2 potential names. They can go with either one, which that to me, that tells me that Naomi would have to be one. And I guess the question I would pose to you, do you think potentially that is that how they reintroduce Charlotte? So if she's not going to be involved in the women's title match, could that be a story direction for her outside of the title picture where they introduce, but then there would have to be a certain motivation for it. Like, why would she attack Jade? But could it be Charlotte? Could that be a way to reintroduce Charlotte Flair?
So would that lead to, in your opinion, Charlotte versus Jade at WrestleMania, or Charlotte versus Bianca to get revenge for what she did to Jade? I mean, I would rather see that than Jade versus Charlotte, but
yeah, I would much rather see Bianca and Charlotte.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't make any sense. I mean, if unless they were just going to keep Jade out of WrestleMania altogether, because if she comes back, why would she not want Charlotte Flair? You know, she's the one who got attacked. So I don't know how you get around that, but I would much rather, if they're going to do Bianca and Charlotte. I think they had one match many years ago, and it was really good. And Charlotte's wanted to work with her. I think that could be a great match. So I just put that out there because if they are considering 2 different people for that, you know, culprit spot, I was just thinking maybe that could be how they reintroduce Charlotte. I just don't think it's Bianca. Some people are like, oh, it's going to be Bianca, and that's how they break up the team. But like, why? What would the motivation be? And do you honestly think they're going to turn Bianca heel? Because I'd love to see it, but I don't see them doing it.
Maybe Charlotte and Naomi are in cahoots. Maybe Charlotte told Naomi to do it.
Why?
Or Naomi told Charlotte to do it. I don't know.
Why?
I don't know.
Naomi is not telling Charlotte to do anything.
Well,
okay?
I don't know. That's the writer's job. I don't know. It's up to them.
Okay, Naomi.
I don't know.
Don't hurt me. Like what? Please. Give me a break. Like if anyone's telling anybody to do anything, it's Charlotte telling somebody else. But yeah, I don't know what the motivation would be in that situation. That to me, that doesn't make any sense. They would have to make it make sense.
Anything regarding Charlotte's got to be centered around jealousy. I don't know. Maybe she felt threatened with the new shiny toy coming on into SmackDown. I don't know.
She was in a tag team though. She wasn't threatening anybody. She's one half of a tag team.
Just throwing darts at the dartboard, bro.
If Jade was the women's champion on the brand, I could understand it. Like, part of me is really surprised they took the title off of Nia before they had the chance to do Queen against Queen. You know, I thought that was, and I guess it still could be, but I'm surprised that we didn't get that, and they didn't hold off to give us that.
Before we move on to the other things that I want to talk about on SmackDown, it is official. Obafemi is the new NXT World Champion.
Wow. Well, that is well earned because Obafemi, he checks all the boxes, man. He's going to be a big star for them. So good for him. I'm happy for him.
Does this mean that Trick Williams is on his way to the main roster? I want to say yes. I want to say no, but I would not be surprised to see him in the Royal Rumble.
I don't think he's ready.
No,
I don't. I mean, I've seen it. A lot of it depends on who he's in the ring with. I just don't think he's ready. I don't think he's ready. I think he's someone who would benefit from staying down there for another year.
Yeah,
I agree. That's what NXT and the PC is all about. I think that he could be a money player for them, but I watch him and I don't know. It just feels like there's still something missing as far as like the in-ring work. There's just something that's missing from the package there. So you may be right, but I don't think he's ready for that yet. I would not call him up just yet.
Yeah, I agree there. So Obafemi is the new NXT champion. Julia is the new NXT Women's champion. I don't know who's going to be in line next for Obafemi. That's going to be a difficult one to book from here on out to stand and deliver. But I guess everybody could see the vision. It's going to be Julia versus Stephanie Vaquer at WrestleMania weekend, stand and deliver. So that's going to be great. If you want a little taste of what Black and Gold was, that's as black and gold, as anything else. Can get. So that's going to be great. But yeah, NXT, new era. There you go. Ushering in a new era on Tuesday night.
Yeah, I mean, look, Caden makes a good point in the chat. Like it did wonders for Roxanne because there were people a year ago thinking Roxanne was going to be called up, but they kept her down there. And I will say, Roxanne excelled as a heel more than I thought she would. Roxanne, to me, when I would look at her, I saw someone who made a great, like, plucky underdog babyface.
Girl next door type deal.
Yeah, girl next door, but she's not like physically imposing, intimidating. There's nothing intimidating about her. And I just didn't know if she can really play, the kind of the devilish heel. And she did. I thought she did a really good job in that role. And even in ring, she just continued to excel and get better. And, it's not going to hurt for her these last few months to be working against people like Julia and Stephanie. And so now she's ready. Now it's just a matter of time now before we see her on Mondays or Fridays. That's why Trick, I think he could be in a similar situation where he could really benefit, I think, from just patience. There's no need to write. It's not as if, oh my God, we need this guy in the roster right now. We just have a depleted roster. We have all of these spots. We don't know, people are hurt and we don't know what to do. Like, they've got a surplus of talent right now on the main roster. Look at all the people they have. They don't even have enough spots for them all. So it's not like, oh, we need Trick on the main roster. You don't. You could take your time.
I don't know. I have a feeling they're going to make a stupid move and they're going to move Trick to SmackDown and move Melo over to Raw. That's my prediction. I don't know. I don't think he's ready for it. I thought his title run was very uneventful. Thought the matches with Ethan Page and Ridge Holland were thumbs down matches and feuds, but WWE sees differently than what we see. So I just have a feeling they're gonna, have a little play in progress with Trick Williams and have him grow while they try and build his star. I think that's the wrong way to go about it. But how long has he been down there? It's been 3 years. I mean, Melo and him basically started out on TV at the same time. Look at how far advanced Melo is, and look where Trick Williams is. I mean, it's night and day.
Well, you can continue to build his star on the CW because they need some stars too. So it's not going to hurt them to keep him down there for a little while longer.
Yeah. All right, Chad. I see you guys now are saying Rock is on TV. Keep us posted about what's going on with The Rock. He's there for a reason. So let us know what's going on there.
We hit the goal, by the way. So it looks like you
did.
Are going to be. I don't envy you, but you are going to be. Imbibing on some real American beer. It looks like.
I will track down real American beer for you guys. You guys hit the goal. And I appreciate you, Jason. Appreciate you very much. So thank you. Super chats will remain open, and we will hang out at the end of the show. Love the energy tonight. So make sure you guys continue to do that. And the likes, we need 200 or so, almost 300 likes. So make sure you guys get that thumbs up. We're halfway through the show, so let's try and get it to 1,000. Right now we're at 740 on my end, so make sure you guys hit that thumbs up and continue the energy, man. We love it. The other big thing that happened on Friday, Jason, was the Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre open to the show. I thought this was great, and it really set the tone for what Cody could be kind of setting himself up for in 2025. I thought this segment did a couple of things. Obviously, it built towards the ladder match between Cody and Kevin Owens at the Royal Rumble, where we'll see both the Winged Eagle and the WWE Championships hanging from the Royal Rumble ceiling in the ring in Indianapolis. Going to be a great match. Very much looking forward to seeing how they kind of go about presenting a ladder match, because I've said this. I know you've said it countless times, and I know we're not the only two. Ladder matches have been done in abundance, and nothing about them is original anymore. So when you got Cody and Kevin Owens, who are two great storytellers in their own right, I want to see what type of old school mentality they take into a match like that, which is going to be awesome. The Drew McIntyre and Cody dynamic. I don't know what you thought about it, but I could absolutely see, and I know we discussed this on TNT late last year, McIntyre moving over to SmackDown. I could absolutely see him being a big proponent in Cody's title run this year, challenging for the World Championship. Going to throw something at you to see where your line of thinking is here. I think Drew McIntyre continues to hunt the bloodline down. I know he said that he doesn't want the World Championship right now because he's got business to take care of. He wants to take everybody out that has done him wrong. And he's on this crusade where he tells nothing but the truth, which is great. But I do see at some point him eventually beating Roman and him eventually getting back to the World Championship. And I could absolutely see Cody and Drew McIntyre in either the third or fourth quarter of 2025. Does McIntyre move to SmackDown, win the King of the Ring, and challenge Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam for the WWE Championship? How are you feeling about the dynamic there? And is he going to be alone? Because I know the partnership with KO is kind of blooming there a little bit. It's not really official, but you see the inner workings there. Maybe Rollins gets involved because they all have the same mentality here against the Bloodline. How do you see Drew McIntyre's transition to SmackDown working out?
I think it's the right move to make. I think that part of the reason it hasn't happened yet is because Bronson Reed got hurt. And if you remember, there were reports that they were going to do Bronson Reed and Seth Rollins on Saturday night's main event, and they couldn't do it. So they needed to go in another direction. That's why we got Drew and Sammy. So I think the reason he was on Raw again is because they called him back early and they needed to fill that spot. So now here we are at the beginning of the year. The transfer window is still open-ended because they haven't told us, how long it's going to be open for. I think moving him to SmackDown is the right move to make. I hope it happens. He's my early pick to win King of the Ring, and that would then, assuming Triple H is going to follow the same rules he did last year, that would earn him a championship match at SummerSlam. And not only am I okay with that, but I would have Drew beat Cody.
Yeah.
If Cody happens to still be champion, or whoever the champion is, Drew deserves a run. He deserves a proper run, like in front of actual fans, because he's putting in. And not because, he's owed anything. Like, it's his turn. Like, he's been putting in the work. And he's been one of the highlights of either of these shows now for the last year plus. So he's overdue, I think, for a run. So I'm totally on board with that. I have McIntyre as my early pick for King of the Ring. Not only do I have him as my early pick for King of the Ring, and we'll get into this when we get into Raw, but I have John Cena as my early favorite for Money in the Bank. And we can talk more about that.
Yeah, we'll definitely get into that. I made a big stink about this on my review last night. I know Cena. I don't want to jump too far ahead. I don't have Cena win the Rumble. I think it's fucking comically predictable. Comically predictable, dude.
I mean, we may as well talk about it now because we knew he was going to be there last night.
Yeah.
But now it is a new year, and that means that we are officially on the John Cena farewell tour. So he was on Raw last night, and one thing he did that I don't like, and I hope that he doesn't continue to do this, but it's John Cena, so he probably will. There was a point in that promo where he started to get very goofy. And it was like, it's weird. It's almost like this very unserious side of himself that will show through. And sometimes that's fine. But then there are times where it just annoys the shit out of me. And I feel like we got a little bit of that last night. It was not one of his best promos, but he did what he had to do. And what I figured he was going to do, because it's that time of year. Why else would he be on the show? he was going to declare for the Royal Rumble, and that's exactly what he did. Of course, it took him a million years to get there. He was teasing, I could win Money in the Bank. I could win the Elimination Chamber. And he said the Rumble, everybody cheered. And it makes sense. It's his last Royal Rumble. Why wouldn't you have him in there? And everybody is talking about number 17. He said it in his promo last night. Like, guys, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Of course, I was so happy he brought up the streak because I've been bringing that up for like fucking 6 months now.
Yeah.
I said, you can't ignore it. I mean, the guy has not won a singles match on television in 2,446 days, okay? Over 6.5 years. You can't ignore that. And my attitude is this, like, you've got him for the entire year. There is absolutely no reason to rush the title onto him in the first 4 months of this year.
No.
None whatsoever. When you have this other story where he now has admitted, look, guys, I can't even win a match. Like, the only way I think I'm going to be able to get a title match is if I win the Royal Rumble. It's like a lottery ticket. He is the early favorite right now. He has to be to win the Rumble. And now he's won the Rumble twice before. I'm not saying that I can't wait to see John Cena win the Rumble, but he's got to be the sentimental favorite right now to win the Rumble. And I've kind of resigned myself to the idea that he's probably getting a title match at WrestleMania. Like, in their mind, the biggest match they could do with him at WrestleMania is to have him chase number 17. Having him win it, that's a different story, and I think that would be a huge mistake because you're blowing through a story that could take you through at least the summer. That's the story to tell. It's the chase. It's the failure, and then the chase.
I mean, you're making too much sense. I mean, I
always do.
I know you do. It's exactly that. Like, why would you? This is the biggest storyline that he has all year. So instead of doing it now, why not wait? Just wait till the end of the year to do it because, like you said months ago, it's all about getting his win back, him believing in himself again, and then going after the championship. And Money in the Bank would be a great way to do that. I would have him absolutely fail. Whoever eliminates him in the Royal Rumble sets up his WrestleMania match. I'd have him do the Chamber and possibly even lose that and just be down on himself. And then whoever's feuding with him going into WrestleMania just kind of continue to troll him and egg him on, and he gets that win back over whomever it is at WrestleMania. But who is that person? Because I know the rumors are him and Cody, which is a fine match. But I just find it to be so sterile and so just bland. It's like, it would remind me of like what Vince used to do. I got to put the two biggest, most boring guys in the fucking main event of WrestleMania. And then
Cody is like, Cody tries so hard to be Cena. Like he does. Like even the way he cuts promos. So it would be like John Cena wrestling himself in some ways. But I think it puts Cody in a terrible position also because if you do that match, yes, it would be huge, but no one's going to want to see Cena lose. So you're putting Cody in this position now where he probably is going to get some heat and he's probably going to be booed by a certain portion of the audience. And I just don't know why you would put him in that position to begin with.
So who do you put him in the ring with at WrestleMania? Because I do feel like the Cena and Cody rumors are bullshit. I think it's a red herring. I think it's a deviation away from what the actual plans are. I know it's probably on like the line sheet that Triple H has. He's probably got 4 or 5 WrestleMania cards. It's on one of them. But what do you do with John Cena at WrestleMania?
McIntyre.
Okay, I like it. It's not too far away from what I said on Friday. And I want to get your opinion on this. I said I would absolutely, if they were going to do a championship match, this is as far as I got. If they were going to do a championship match, I said, all right, we do Cody and Rock. I want to see that. I don't even think that's happening right now. But if you had to go to a plan B for Cody, it's Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes. I would do Cena and Gunther if you want to do him in a championship match. I would do Punk Rollins. I would do McIntyre and Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. This is all depending on if The Rock is not doing WrestleMania, because then what do? I would rather see McIntyre and Reigns instead of Reigns and Punk. I'm not ready for Reigns and Punk yet. I think that's more suited for SummerSlam. But I actually would not mind your idea either. I think Cena and McIntyre is a great way to go about it. But what does he got to do? What does he got to do with the whole crusade that he's on? I mean, theoretically, I guess he helped Roman Reigns at one point, no?
As far as Cena?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's even if you tie it into the crusade. I mean, who's to say it has to be part of that? I mean, it could be a totally different story independently. It could just be a case of, I don't know. Did he ever work Cena? They must have had a TV match at some point.
I think it was one. I'll find out. But yeah, I am totally in favor of that.
Yeah, because I can't recall them having like a proper program. So I don't think there's any history between the two of them specifically. But I mean, there's any number of ways that you could go with this, as far as Cena trying to win that one last championship and failing. And then so McIntyre could kind of, I don't know, I mean, call him out for it, trying to hog the spotlight one more time. Back in my day when I was the chosen one, you were the top guy in this company and everything was built around you. Like, there's a number of different ways that you can go with it. And now, like, McIntyre's on another level when it comes to his promos. Like, we know what John Cena could do on promos. Like, when he's motivated, John Cena can be vicious. Look what he did to Austin Theory, okay? Sliced and diced and filleted. He hasn't recovered since. So I think that whole dynamic of, like, them just going back and forth on promos leading up to WrestleMania would be fantastic. And I also feel like Drew is one of the few people who could probably pull, like, a really great match out of Cody in a way that maybe some other people can't. Now Cena would win, and that would be kind of his first like really big win to get him back to his winning ways. But it would still be a great spot for McIntyre to be in, and it doesn't mean that McIntyre can't go on to win King of the Ring, and become champion in the summer. So I don't have an issue with that. I actually think that is one of the better opponents. Like if you ranked who would the 3 best opponents for Cena be on the WrestleMania card this year, McIntyre's for me 1 or 2.
Yeah, I like that. Chat, I don't know what you're saying. They said CW cut Rock off, and a lot of people were like, The Rock roasted me. No, he did not roast me. I'm assuming everybody had the same criticisms about Monday Night Raw last night. Give me a break.
Everybody online was complaining about him and Cody being like best friends.
Yeah.
Okay. We're not the only ones, I'm sure, who called that shit out last night. So from what I saw, I guess people were saying he was mocking people who were crying about that. Him getting cut off. Look, if he got cut off, if that's what happened, then that's on them, because you're on network television, baby. Okay. And a lot of these markets, like on Fox, when they had SmackDown on Fox, they got the news coming on at 10 o'clock. So they have a hard out at 10 p.m. They ain't got no overrun anymore. So if The Rock went long, and it's not like it'd be the first time The Rock went long, he's got nobody to blame but himself. That's not the CW's fault.
I'll go back and watch it. I know what you guys are saying in the chat. Clearly, if The Rock showed up tonight and that was his vision for tonight's show, clearly he had none coming on in, because he obviously heard about whatever was said last night this morning. So that's exactly what he ran with. I don't know why that was stated tonight, but it's The Rock and he's going to do whatever he wants, which is it's not a really good feeling going into WrestleMania season if we're this haphazard and just all over the place with the booking already. So it is what it is.
I mean, some people are saying he didn't get cut off. Some people are saying he got cut off by a second. I'm sure he was able to get his message out, whatever it was that he was there to do, which just based on what people are talking about, it sounds like it wasn't much. I mean, it was just him making an appearance, and I'm sure they popped a nice number for him being on the show, and his daughter is the GM, so he probably wanted to go. They were in LA tonight, right? They were at the Shrine Auditorium.
Yeah.
So they got the Rock pop for NXT. Good for
going back to Drew McIntyre. McIntyre and Cena shared a ring. Last time that happened was January 14th, 2019 on Raw. It was a fatal 4-way that included Balor, McIntyre, and Baron Corbin.
Boy, it's like, which one of these doesn't fit, huh? Holy shit. You know, the word I'm seeing now is that there might be New Japan interest in Baron Corbin. I actually think that would be a great landing spot.
That way, either that or TNA. I think that would be a definite good spot for him, for sure.
Yep. We'll see if that happens. But all right, so 2019. So yeah, a random match on TV. They've never worked together like in a proper program.
Yeah.
I think it would be great.
So that match, theoretically, now if we're thinking about WrestleMania, Cena and McIntyre, I like it. We're both in agreement there. Cody, are you booking? I wish I could tell you, all of our hopes and fucking dreams were dashed last night, because I thought we would get at least a nugget of information coming out of Monday Night Raw last night. We got nothing. Which direction are they going in for WrestleMania? We got absolutely fucking nothing, and we were lied to, which we'll get into in a little bit. But what are you doing with Cody at WrestleMania? Are you going Orton or are you going Rock? Which one is it?
if Rock is wrestling, you do Cody and Rock.
Yeah.
I mean, the simplest answer is if The Rock is wanting to get in the ring, then you do Rock and Cody. If not, then I want to see Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes. I just think that there's some rich history there that they haven't tapped into yet. We know Orton's got to be coming back soon, probably by the Rumble at the latest, I would think. And that would give them enough time. I mean, they'd have to come up with a way to do it, but that would give them enough time to really build that thing up. And it could be the first. It could be the first in a series of matches between them. So Rock, if he's wrestling, which honestly it feels like he's not, or Randy Orton.
Yeah, I don't know. I have a feeling that we will get Rock wrestling. I think they're going to go and do Rock and Roman. I just have a feeling they're going to do that. And I have a feeling that we're going to get Cody and Randy Orton. And I think we're going to get Punk and Rollins again.
Look, I mean, Roman and Rock, they wanted to do it last year.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm sure in their minds, these fucking fans, they ruined it. This big match we were going to do, the 40th WrestleMania.
But everybody knows it makes more sense this year. Everybody knows that.
Well, look at it. Las Vegas, the big fight city, right? It's the entertainment capital of the world. Of course, it makes all the sense in the world if they want to do it this year. And like you said, they didn't give any hint about anything last night. But yes, if Rock wants to wrestle Roman, then of course, they're not going to put it on the back burner again. They're going to do it because that's a big money match. Cody could wrestle Randy. Cena could do McIntyre or, Gunther if they want him to challenge for a title. Like, they're going to have a lot of big matches. And that's to say nothing of another Punk and Rollins match. There's a lot of big matches that they could do. I mean, it's a good problem for Triple H to have, but we didn't get any sense of what direction they're thinking in right now.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's saying, The Rock is not wrestling. How the fuck do you know? I mean, you know how many people came to me and Jason and said, The Rock's not showing up on Monday Night Raw January 6th? What happened? It's the first guy that we fucking seen out there besides Triple H. Give me a break, man. Nobody knows what he's doing. Nobody even knew he was going to be on NXT tonight until we watched last night. So he does what he wants. We're not going to know, which is fucking annoying. I mean, if you're going to be at WrestleMania, tell us. If you're going to be involved in plans, finish them up. If you don't want to be a part of plans, just move on. Do something else. I don't know what to tell you, but I have a feeling he's going to integrate himself somehow. And it makes sense for him to. He's involved in Cody. He's involved in Roman. He's involved in the Bloodline. So, I mean, he's got to be involved in something. So, I do think he's going to be at WrestleMania in a wrestling capacity. But we'll start at the top here, Jason. I know we talked about John Cena. We got that out of the way. Monday night, last night, visually, we saw the Intuit Dome. I thought the setup for the show looked fucking phenomenal. I love the way the new logo pops on the LED screens. I love
the entranceway where you have, I always love that look where you can see the fans above it.
Yeah.
Because you're filling in more seats, but it just makes it look so much bigger that way.
Yeah, we had the aisleways, which was a little bit more narrow than normal. It kind of gave an old school vibe, but with a modern twist. We got the Intuit Dome. I loved, some people didn't like it. I love the little red lights on the seating in the Intuit Dome. I think it popped visually on TV. I don't know how you felt about that.
It threw me off a little bit because it almost looked like extra space or like empty seats.
Yeah.
Like at first it threw me off a little bit, and then I realized, okay, it's just like lights in between the seats.
Yeah.
I like the circular Tron, which is not something we're going to see every week. That's part of that building. I liked it though. I mean, I thought that it's a newer building. It only opened in August. So I mean, it's a brand new arena. And it got all the bells and whistles, I guess. So yeah, I mean, visually, the show looks as polished as ever. I actually think if anything, it's overproduced because I mean, you got the drone shots and they have all of these different, bells and whistles here. So visually, it looked great. I didn't have any issues on Netflix. It didn't buffer for me. I didn't have any glitches or anything. Some people were complaining that the announcers were cutting in and out. Not for me. I didn't have that issue. So at least for night one, the first ever streaming Raw, didn't have any problems on my end.
No, everything was picture perfect for me as well. A couple of other aesthetics that I really enjoyed. Obviously, we'll talk about the ring mat, but the commentary table had some nice LED lighting on the side and up the center of the table. It was a nice little glossy finish on the table. The referee shirts were dark gray with black stripes and the WWE logo on the front pocket. I thought that was a nice change. And the ring mat, which a lot of people, obviously kind of assumed was going to happen when TKO merged UFC and WWE together and Endeavor bought WWE. We all expected it. I mean, we saw the teaser picture on Friday night that was leaked on X, and everybody was wondering, is this going to be the new ring mat? Are they really going to go the UFC way with the advertisements on the mat? Yeah, they did go that way. And to be quite honest with you, Jason, I don't know how you felt on your end. I didn't get a chance to listen to your Raw review. I was not even fucking looking at it. I didn't even mind it up until we seen it. I was over it 10 minutes after we seen it. It definitely reminded me more of a takeover black and gold type of deal. I'm like, I like the black ring mat on Monday Night Raw. I thought that was a nice aesthetic.
Yeah, I mean, the logos, they went crazy with it. I mean, there's like 9 different logos in the ring. I think that's just kind of gross. I mean, you want to have 2. I mean, that's fine. So, but I said this on my show over the weekend, like in a few weeks, like no one's going to notice.
No.
Like it's not going to ruin your enjoyment of the show. I just watched 2 Tokyo Dome shows this weekend and it's standard. They have logos all over the mat. They got the blue mat with the different sponsor logos. So it's not like they're the only ones in wrestling who are even doing this. I happen to think that what WCW did made sense, where they had that one big sponsor and they would have their logo on the mat, like Snickers. Mm-hmm. Now you got a logo here and a logo there, and Riyadh season, you got fucking Fortnite in the middle of the ring. Like, I was like, that's kind of weird, but okay. Got a giant Fortnite logo in the middle of the ring. But yeah, it's not a big deal. People are going to get used to it. I like the black mat. Had the white ropes and the black mat, so I was just worried it was going to be red. I'm just happy we don't have a red mat, because that just doesn't work.
Yeah, the blue mat on SmackDown. I mean, I got over it in 10 minutes. I thought it wasn't that big of a deal. I don't really give a shit about it. It wouldn't be my preference, but I don't really give a shit about it. So
yeah,
I got over it. The black mat I enjoyed. I do agree with you. I think it's a little overdone with the ad sponsorships. I think they should tone it down a little bit, but. And who the fuck am I? They're going to make their money however they got to make their money. And we expected it. But I thought it was something that was going to have a lot of complaint behind it. And it's not even worth it. So like you said, it's going to be a couple weeks and we're not even going to notice it. But we did notice The Rock and how he did not portray Final Boss Rock. And he was definitely board of directors, Dwayne Johnson, Hollywood Dwayne Johnson out there.
I mean, he was out there in the vest. He came out to the Hollywood Rock theme. He had the shades on. He had his belt with him.
I know, which made it all bizarre, man. I don't know.
I feel like he hasn't let go of that belt since we saw him at Bad Blood.
Fucking probably showers with it. Who the fuck knows?
Well, I mean, hey, it's a beautiful belt. I'll say that. But yeah, I mean, he came out looking like Hollywood Rock. And then when he started speaking, you realize, now this is Dwayne, the board member of TKO.
Yeah.
And he was there basically as a representative of the company, and he was putting over Netflix, and he was putting over all these different people and the executives and pointing them out and everything. And I think it threw a lot of people off because they weren't expecting that, especially again with him out there dressed up as The Rock as we saw him last time. But he was out there basically to do the rah-rah thing and talk about how, and this will never not be funny to me, because they did this a number of times last year. They did it again last night. And usually it's the ring announcer or Triple H or somebody else, but they have The Rock say, and tonight we set the all-time arena gate in WWE history, and everybody cheers. And I think, I legitimately think that most of those people think that he's talking about like the attendance or something, right?
They have to.
You would think, right, that they just don't really understand what it is that he's referring to there. But it's just funny to me that, like, hey, everybody, we set the arena gate. Okay. Now, they've had much bigger crowds before for arena shows. They had 17,000 people there. But that just means that they've jacked up the prices so fucking high. And that's why they keep setting these gate records. I had people write into me who were at the show. They're like, dude, I was in the nosebleeds and I ended up paying like $220 for my seat. Right. And that's in the nosebleeds. So you can imagine, like, if you were not even ringside, but just like level 100, like what those people must have been paying for their tickets. I'm like, that's your money that you just spent on all these tickets. And they're basically in the ring gloating and say, hey, guess what? We just set the new gate record off all your asses. Yay. Everybody cheers. And I'm like, it just never gets old to me. Like, I don't know why that's a cheering.
Thank you for making us billionaires even richer, man. We appreciate it.
Yeah, like, hey, it's like the billionaire company, like, hey, we just set another record off all of you, and it's like, yeah, WWE, like, okay, all right, I guess that's something to cheer for, but they keep setting records left and right, and that's what happens, when the demand is there. I don't even fault them for it, the demand is there. They know they're going to sell the tickets. I don't know if they were officially sold out, but if not, they were close to sold out, and they're just on fire right now. Their business is still booming.
Yeah, this was 17,000 in the Intuit Dome, and Rock is out there, and he's obviously he shakes hands with Ari Emanuel in the front row. You see him right there. I think Nick Khan was sitting right next to him. Bella Bajari, Shapiro. Yeah, Mark Shapiro was there. Bella Bajari, all the Netflix executives in the VIP section. So he's out there. He's thanking everybody, going over how he used to watch WWF back in the day, and it was now a new era with the streaming service. And Netflix.
You notice how he dropped an F-bomb when he was over by the announcers? He said something to Pat McAfee and they censored it.
Oh, did they? I didn't hear that.
Yeah, they censored it. But the good news is one of the positives about being on Netflix now is that no matter what the crowd chants, they are no longer censoring the crowd chants. So we don't have like the mute and then the unmute or the mute for 10 seconds straight. So that's a relief because that shit's just annoying.
Yes, it was. It was. I have it in the notes here when Solo and Roman and the bell rang and fans were chanting "Fuck you, Solo." You heard every F-bomb by the crowd in Los Angeles last night. It was great. Yeah. But he did acknowledge Cody, and this was not Final Boss acknowledging the WWE champion. This was Dwayne acknowledging Cody, thanking Cody, who was just randomly standing there in his baby blue suit, just standing there in the crowd for whatever reason. And he thanked Cody for carrying the company on his back as the WWE champion for the last 365 days. And they acted friendly. Rock jokingly told Cody to say hi to Mama Rhodes. And Cody just left. And then after all this was over, obviously he acknowledged Roman. And Rock called him the original tribal chief. He's going to keep a close eye on what's happening here next with Roman and Solo. He goes over after he did his promo in the ring. And he goes over and hugs Cody Rhodes. So I was just befuddled, Jason. I was watching this. I'm like, all right, I get it. I'm not fucking stupid. All the business analysts on social media, they want to pretend like they're business analysts. Well, they did this for XXXX reasons. Okay, I get it. But the pro wrestling fan in us is not stupid. The last time we saw The Rock was at Bad Blood, and he held up 3 fingers and throat slashed Cody, Jimmy Uso, and Roman Reigns. The time before that, he handed Cody an unidentified object and shook his hand and said, "Don't go and break my heart again." So we have 2 instances where this man is on TV, and the third time that we see him on television after these last 2 previous ones, he's hugging Cody Rhodes. So I don't know how you felt about it, but as a fan, I get why they did the whole business side of it. This is a pilot episode. Let it play out. Let him cook, whatever the fucking words, the buzzwords are on social media. This did not do me any good, Jason. I don't know how you felt about it, but we needed to see, I guess, them do business, but also not just do business 100%. They needed to go and do the Final Boss and actually give us some kind of continuation from what we last seen.
Yeah, it was bizarre. And you have to leave open the possibility that we are going to get to a point where Rock will do something to Cody. Like right now it's like, oh, okay, we're mutual respect between us, and you've done a great job, and they're all friendly, and then they could still do Rock and Cody. If Rock wants to wrestle and he's going to wrestle Cody, it would take one angle on a television show to set it up. So that doesn't bother me so much. I didn't think that it needed to happen, though. Like, he just could have avoided it altogether. They didn't have to interact at all. Yeah. Like, Cody's not even a Raw guy. Okay, so he didn't even need to be on that show. I know why they wanted him there, because he's basically the face of the company. Yeah. And this was their big Netflix launch. But it's like you didn't even have to do it. You could have just kept them apart. Rock could do everything else that he did, but just not interact with Cody. Or maybe there's like a segment where when he's in the back and he's leaving, they kind of bump into each other, and there's maybe like a handshake or a nod of respect. And I don't think people would have, raised hell because of that. So yes, it felt like you're taking this storyline that you built up and you're disrespecting it and kind of slapping people in the face. And I think that's why people were upset. But it doesn't ruin anything, because if they still want to do Rock and Cody, like I said, they're one angle away from getting him back on track and having Rock cut this scathing promo on him, and then we're back in business. What bothered me is, and WWE does this a lot. And like I said, their business is booming and everything's, coming up aces for them. But it's sickening to me that we have, on this show, we had Triple H open the show. And we went from Triple H, who was giving the big rah-rah speech about WWE and it's a new era and all this stuff, and we go into The Rock, who basically does the same exact thing. So the first 15 to 20 minutes of this show, they were basically, giving themselves a blowjob on Netflix.
Yes.
Is what they were doing, right? They were pleasuring themselves in the ring, and it's like nothing story related. It's all about business and the great business that we're doing, and bigger than ever, and setting gate records. Nobody gives a fuck. You know what I mean? Like, we're watching this show. We want to see what you have in store for us as far as the matches and the storylines. Like, that's what drives this show every single week. I can go on social media. I could go on WWE.com and I can read about the big audience and the gate record and all that. Like, as a viewer, I don't care. And to devote 20 minutes of this show to doing that, to me, is just sickening. And it's not the first time they've done this. How many times has Triple H come out and cut very similar speeches before? I feel like I've heard this many times before from him. Every time they talk about the Paul Levesque era and he comes out and he gives the same speech. Do we need to hear this every single time? I understand this was a big night for them, but to go back to back like that and that's how they opened the show, to me, like, that's not how I would have opened the show. I just thought that was completely unnecessary, and it's just them flexing on TV because, hey, look how great we are. Like, yeah, okay, we get it. Who gives a shit? Like, let's get on with the show. And then finally they did, but it was like 25 minutes in and we got our first match. That I didn't like. But as far as the Rock and Cody stuff, yeah, it was weird. But again, they could always get back to it if they want to. Rock was there basically as kind of like an ambassador to WWE. And I think that's what people were kind of let down by. He was so entertaining as the final boss that what did you expect the audience to think? We didn't get the final boss last night. That's what people wanted to see. Because he was one of the highlights of the fucking show leading into WrestleMania last year with that gimmick. He would come out and roast the fans every single week. I forgot what city they were in, but he had that one where he was talking about how he was putting them over, and he said that it was like the crack epidemic center of the world or something.
No, it was Utah. It might have been Utah.
It might have been somewhere. It was somewhere like that. I laughed my ass off. Like, but that's The Rock that people were so entertained by last year, and they thought they were going to get him on this show, and they didn't. So I can understand people being upset. They can mock them for it if they want to, but like I said, we were hardly the only ones, I'm sure, who brought that up last night, and a lot of people felt the same way. No indication at all about whether or not Rock is going to have any sort of in-ring role at WrestleMania. They're keeping their cards very close to the vest, or at least Rock is. Who knows what he's told them. If he's told them, okay, this is what I'm going to do, I'm in, I'm out. It's still early January. He may not have even told them yet. All that stuff that went down last year, that was the beginning of February. So who the hell knows
we'll wake up on February 1st and we'll get to 4 p.m. Eastern time, and Rock will be like, you know what? I think I'm winning the Rumble today.
I think I'm number 31 in the Rumble tonight. That's what I think. Well, you know what? It's funny. I was thinking about that too, because again, we could talk about last night and how it came off, but like, if you wanted to, like, that's the perfect angle. You want to get heat back on him. You want to really give Rock heat. Here's what you do. John Cena has already declared for the Royal Rumble. Have him enter the Rumble like early. He doesn't have to be number one, but like, he's in there for a long time, and people are rooting for him and they want to see him so badly win the Royal Rumble. And he throws out whoever it is at the end and everybody thinks he's won, right? But then we hear the countdown clock and then we hear the final boss theme. And The Rock enters at number 31. And he ends up dumping Cena and stealing his win and winning the Royal Rumble. And punching his ticket, and he says, Cody Rhodes, I told you. I was coming for that title. And like you said, we get Cody and Rock at WrestleMania, but he gets heat for foiling John Cena's attempt to win the Royal Rumble. How great would that be?
Listen, if they do that, I would publicly come on here and take back everything I said. That would be fucking, that plays into what we wanted to see last night. I don't know why they're slow burning it, but that would be fucking great. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, they could slow burn it. Again, it's still early January. We're still a month away from the Royal Rumble. So I get them not wanting to tip their cap when it comes to like their key stories. But I'm saying, like, if they played it out that way, it accomplishes two things. Number one, again, it puts more sympathy on John Cena.
Yeah.
And number two, you get Rock and Cody, which is, the match that they set up for last year. So we'll see. I don't know if they're going to do it, but how great would that be? But it has to work that way, where like he's not coming out at even 30. Like he has to come out like at 31. Like you're not even supposed to be in this match. Like this is not fair. But he's The Rock. He's on the board. He can do it. And then he steals the win away from them.
If they do that, that would be great. But like I said, Triple H came out 3 weeks ago at the headquarters when they did the Raw Netflix kickoff show, and they invited all fans to go out there on a random Wednesday. And Triple H said the first thing out of his mouth was, this show is going to be the official start for WrestleMania. And last night was not that. And then you get The Rock coming out, and he's corporate, Dwayne, Hollywood Dwayne. Well, and everybody's looking at this. And the first thing that people are thinking about is, and I don't want to jump ahead here, but we got The Rock out there, and we got Roman and Solo. And then after that match, I guess we'll stick with the Rock theme. He's in the back live streaming on Instagram, sharing Terramana tequila with Cody Rhodes, hugging him and fucking chatting it up like they're at the bar, just sharing some stories.
Wait, he took a swig, and then he got in his car and he drove off.
Yeah, well, he's driving drunk. He's driving under the influence too. So it's like, yeah, fuck him. But the problem is, a lot of fans looked at this and they were like, why? And he blew up. According to the fans, they blew up months of storyline to drink tequila with Cody Rhodes and to celebrate where they are as a company. So I question, does The Rock hate his fan base? Does he really want to keep us in the dark that much? I mean, please, either shit or get off the pot. I said, are you working WrestleMania or not? Are you intent on forwarding storylines? If you're not, wrap it up and move the fuck on.
He didn't have to tell us last night.
I know, but give us a breadcrumb at least. I mean, you can't hype up that this is going to be the official start for WrestleMania and then deliver on none of those expectations. Like, that's the problem that people had. That they listen intently and then you don't deliver and then you do that. It's like, do you think we're that fucking stupid and then you don't want us to complain about it? And then Rock comes on NXT to shut the fuck up and enjoy the ride. Like, all right, I want to enjoy the ride, but don't insult my intelligence along the way. I don't know, man.
I was expecting more also. Okay, I was expecting there to be some, even just one, whether it was with Punk or Roman or Rock, some indication of, okay, I could see kind of the direction they're going in for WrestleMania. And we didn't get that, and that was disappointing. But I look at it like this. This show, I think you even tweeted something, it's like a PLE that we're getting, right? It's like a PLE.
Well, that was from WrestleVotes because they said it was going to go 3.5 hours, yes.
Okay, well, guess what? You got a PLE. Because if you watch WWE PLEs these days, there are very few matches, and there's a lot of bullshit in between the matches, video packages and pageantry and all kinds of stuff. That's what last night was. We had 4 matches in 3 hours last night. Okay, now a couple of those matches were almost 20 minutes long. You got 4 matches in 3 hours. Now, usually on the PLEs, we get 5. But we got 4, right? So it was very much like a PLE in that regard, and also in this regard. What did they do last night? Okay, they didn't come out and slap you in the face and say, hey, I'm wrestling this guy at WrestleMania. But they ended a number of stories. We had Tribal Combat. Roman Reigns wins the Ulafala. Thank God it happened last night and not at WrestleMania. That chapter of that bloodline story is over now. It's over. And what we should see on Friday night, and I'll be pissed if we don't, is Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga letting Solo Sikoa know, you let us down, and they beat him up. Because losing has to have consequences. He lost for his team at War Games. He lost the Ulafala. There's no reason for these guys to be following him anymore. I wasn't upset that they didn't shoot the angle on Monday because they have Friday to do it. But the issue with Roman and Solo, they closed that chapter. Look at what they did with Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan. Rhea Ripley, once again, the women's world champion. Finally, right? We all agree that had to come to an end. It was over. Okay. They dragged that out as long as they possibly could. They ended that story. Rhea Ripley can now begin whatever it is that she's going to be doing. She can begin her story anew for WrestleMania. So they closed the door on a lot of stories like you would see almost at a WrestleMania, where normally they would pay off stories. They paid off at least a couple of different stories, because I don't think Punk and Rollins were over just yet. But they paid off a couple of stories last night, freed them up to now move on to something else. instead of giving everything away on that one night. So when the show was over, as a fan, yeah, I was a little underwhelmed because I was like, all right, you didn't give us anything here, but I understood why they did what they did. You can't say they didn't do anything last night because Rhea and Liv is now over and we have a new champion. Roman and Solo, it better be over, right? That's over now. Roman can move on, whether it's going to be Punk, whether it's going to be Rock, whether it's going to be McIntyre, whoever it's going to be. They ended those chapters. Now we wait to see where does the story go. It's only the beginning of January. So we are going to see it play out over these next several weeks. The Rumble is still a month away. I still don't think we're going to know a lot until we get to the Rumble. And that's not until February.
Oh, they don't say nothing. I mean, Triple H came out 3 weeks ago, said this is the official start of WrestleMania. I didn't get that feeling.
It is the official start of WrestleMania. That doesn't mean that they're going to tell you what the directions all are for WrestleMania, but this is now the official start to WrestleMania. Roman has his necklace, and now he'll move on to something else for WrestleMania. It's not going to be Solo Sikoa. Rhea Ripley is the champion again. Who's she going to be defending against at WrestleMania? We don't know. But it's not going to be Liv Morgan. This was like the kickoff. Like, okay, we're ending this. This is over now. And now we're moving into WrestleMania season. And I think that's what they were thinking coming into this show. You mentioned pilot. That's what I wrote that in my notes. That's what last night was to them. This was their pilot episode on Netflix because they think, okay, we have a huge audience that's going to be watching this show. More people than ever before are probably watching this show, right? And so what we want this to be is a mix of, all right, we're going to give you some big matches to our loyal fan base, pay off these stories, but we're not going to give away too much because we're trying to appeal to a wider audience here. And we're not just going to go banger matches and banger matches and banger matches. So we want to have The Undertaker and we want to have The Rock and we want to have, different people on the show that, maybe if you're a casual fan or you're a former wrestling fan, you would recognize them and you might stick around and be like, oh shit, The Undertaker's on the show. They're trying to lure in a new audience. This show served a lot of different masters, but it was a pilot episode. They were not going to give a whole bunch of shit away. I thought Penta was going to be on the show last night and they moved it to next week. Now, they never announced him for this show, but they did tease that there was going to be a tag team match.
Some people were like, oh, he was advertised. No, he was not advertised for this show.
No. They never advertised it. They didn't say next week.
No.
Coming next week. That we were talking about it. It seemed like they were saving it for next week, but they didn't. The finals of the Intercontinental title tournament for the women. They announced it for January 13th and not last night. Why? Because they didn't want it to be lost in all the noise of all the big stars on the show. Because when you have big stars, nobody gives a fuck about Dakota Kai and Lyra Valkyria. I'm sorry.
Unfortunately, that's the truth.
Unfortunately. Yes. Okay, so they're like, why don't we wait? We'll hold off another week, and that way we'll put more of the focus on them. Penta, we'll give it another week, right? He's going to be a mystery luchador. He's going to be wrestling Chad Gable. Gee, I wonder who it's going to be. We actually had his name in the promo last night. Finally said Penta in the actual promo, so we know he's coming in.
Well, Triple H at the press conference, he was asked too about Chad Gable's opponent, and old Triple H says, "You know who he is." I think everybody knows who he is. Yeah,
I didn't say that. Yeah, I mean, come on, we know who it is. I want to see what music they give him. Is he going to get the Def Rebel special, or are they going to come up with something really good for him?
I don't know. Can we just take Mikey Ruckus and have him write a track on Under the Radar and just give it to Penta? Hey, this is what I got here, man. There you go. But can you understand, Jason, why fans were upset last night? Like, I understood. I get everything you're saying. You're 100% factually correct. But like at the end of this Rock and Solo match, no, not Rock, Roman and Solo match, Rock is out there. Obviously, the stare down between him and Roman. He handed the Ulafala to Roman. There was something there. Could have been teased. They had 3 instances to give us just a little something going into Friday. There was the look from Rock to Roman. I even brought it up on Friday. I'd be like, it'd be fucking funny if Paul Heyman takes the Ulafala and hands it to The Rock instead of handing it to Roman, and then Rock puts the Ulafala on. And, he was in cahoots with The Rock ever since he went away and got slammed at Madison Square Garden through the table. They didn't do that. Solo's just laying on the mat. We didn't see nothing from Jacob Fatu or Tama Tonga as far as consequences. I guess they are saving that for Friday, like you mentioned. But, I mean, a lot of people just felt like at the end of that match, Roman got the Ulafala, put it on, threw the one in the air twice, and that was it. It's like, I said you could be upset if you feel like you should have gotten more. And I do feel they should have given us just a little bit more, but,
Look, absolutely. I'm not saying people don't have a right to be upset that they didn't get more. I mean, there are people who are disgusted that we only got 4 matches on a 3-hour show.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a fair point. Some people, like, if you're a newer viewer, I could see some newer fans like, where's the action?
Yeah.
Right? They're like, this is a wrestling show. How come I'm not getting more wrestling matches here? How come this guy's coming out? Now John Cena's coming out to talk to me. And now The Rock is talking to me. And maybe they would have liked to have had more matches. Maybe it would have been better to add even just one more, like, fast-paced, exciting match on the show. So you can show people, not only do we have all these big names and we have these other stories that are going on, but you can see action like this. Yes, I think the show could have benefited from something like that because Drew McIntyre and Jey Uso did not deliver that last night. Okay, no. The people seemed like they couldn't give 2 shits about that match.
Well, maybe they got contact high from Travis Scott. I don't know.
It's possible, but I mean, maybe, but like Jey Uso is super over, but like when that match started, it was scary how like the crowd just did not seem to care.
Yeah.
So you could have, again, you want to have them on the show. They're 2 of your biggest stars. That match, it just didn't work. I wasn't even a fan of the finish. The fluke win for Jey. I guess in a way it kind of protects McIntyre. He didn't get beat, totally clean, but whatever. I just did not like that segment. So I understand people being upset, but I just think people also need to look at why they did it. Because I see people like, why? I don't get it. I'm flabbergasted, but like, it's not hard to understand. This was the first episode, and they did not want to overload it with too much and give too much away, but they wanted to communicate to a new audience. This is what we are. This is what we do. We have our biggest names on the show. Roman Reigns wrestled on a Monday night. When was the last time that happened? CM Punk has not wrestled on a Monday night since Billy Gunn in 2014. So we got some things on the show that we normally wouldn't get, right? They gave you their big stars last night. Cody was on the show. Rock was there. But they were, their expectations and their goals for this show obviously were different than their hardcore fan base. But they weren't appealing to just their hardcore fan base. It was an infomercial is what it was.
Yeah.
The show was one giant infomercial for Netflix and what you can expect going forward. And if you go into it with the understanding that, okay, this is what they were going for, you know what? Yeah, this is not the best episode of Raw. Is it the biggest episode in Raw history? Yeah. I mean, in terms of promotion and everything they put into it, find me another episode that's bigger than that one. Bigger does not mean better, though, right? We saw plenty of quality, like great fucking episodes of Raw last year that were much better than what we got last night. But I think if you at least understand why they did what they did, it's not that hard to see like what they were going for and why people would be upset.
There, like Jason said, it definitely appealed to several different audiences here. If you are more of the hardcore fan that wanted more, you have every right to feel that way. If you are somebody who watches not every week like we do, and you're more of just a casual, I'll just watch when I watch type of person, that's fine too. Undertaker, Hulk Hogan, John Cena, The Rock, Triple H, these are all names that you probably remember back when you used to watch regularly. So WWE was certainly trying to appeal to everybody. I do think that they leaned a little bit too much to one side over the other, but I mean, look at next week's show. I mean, look at what they have lined up for next week. Next week is going to be more for us sickos. We got Dakota Kai and Lyra for the IC title, Sheamus versus Kaiser, Priest versus Balor in a street fight, Gable versus Penta. I mean, you're going to get your Raw next week, which I get, but I just feel like I could have gotten a little bit more. I felt like I got a nice meal at a nice fancy restaurant, and they gave me half the fucking meal. Fine. Yeah, we'll wait till next week.
Yeah. No, I mean, when the show was over, I felt underwhelmed in many ways.
Yes.
But as a weekly kind of hardcore viewer who doesn't miss a show, and I know all the storylines, and we're heading into WrestleMania season, I thought they would leave us with a bigger hook in some way.
Yeah.
For next week. But clearly this show was designed for more of the, there's a reason why they kept making reference to all the Netflix executives and, again, they kept cutting to
all the celebrities in the crowd.
Yeah, well, the celebrities that, they paid to be there. And, and some of them are genuine, like, wrestling fans.
Yeah.
Like Danielle Fishel, okay, Topanga was there, and she's a big wrestling fan. I mentioned this on my review last night, the fucking disrespect that was shown to Eric Matthews sitting there because, he never acknowledged. It was just like a fan who was sitting next to her.
And he was legitimately the funniest part of the entire fucking sitcom. Him.
Yes. And I think they do a podcast together, don't they? I think it's like a Boy Meets World podcast that they do. But it's just so weird because I forgot what it was. It was like last week on one of my live streams. It was at the end, and we're going through super chats, and I'm getting into a discussion about movies. Somebody asked me a question, and I mentioned there's a movie that was made, and I guarantee you've never even heard of it, but it was a low budget, almost like a teenage romance kind of film comedy from the late 90s called Trojan War, and it had Jennifer Love Hewitt in it, but he was the star. And it's one of my guilty pleasure favorite movies. And I just talked about this last week. So imagine me, I'm sitting here and I'm watching this show. I'm watching Raw on Netflix. And I'm like, wait a minute, is that Eric fucking Matthews sitting there like on TV? And they don't even acknowledge him. Like nothing on the lower third. It was all about her. And who else did they show? I mean, they showed Vanessa Hudgens was in the crowd and Seth Green.
Can I just say that any movie in that time period that stars Jennifer Love Hewitt is an absolute must-see.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. The star of the show. I mean, why do you think I watched? That probably is what got me to watch it. But like, he was funny in there. So I was like, oh, I like this movie. But she was, of course, I mean, Jennifer Love Hewitt. I mean, come on now. So yeah, I mean, it was just weird. But then like they showed some of the wrestlers and they were talking, like Michelle McCool was there and Michael Cole's like one of the greatest women's wrestlers of all time. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, all right. But like Nikki Bella was there. And so yeah, it's like, they want you to think like this is the big happening thing. Look at all of the celebrities. Look at
our cool Hollywood friends, man. We're so cool.
Right. So they were more interested in devoting time to that and putting themselves over, whereas that extra time could have been used for another match or it could have been used for something to further a story. But you have to just look at this is what the show was designed to be. I mean, this is what it was designed to do. Now, if it's like that again next week, I'm going to have a much bigger problem with it.
Yeah.
I suspect it'll be business as usual next week, but that's why they did what they did. So yeah, it was unsatisfying in many ways, but I kind of knew coming into it, I could sense like, all right, I have a feeling they keep going on about these celebrities and everything. It's like, oh boy, here we go. Cause they were in LA. So of course they had all the celebrities were in town. Macaulay Culkin was there. And honestly, he got one of the biggest pops of the entire night when they put him
he's
on
another
TV.
Genuine fan. That's why.
Yeah. No, I know that. Him and his brother.
Yeah.
Who I think was backstage. So, but it was funny. Like he got the biggest pop of the night in stark contrast to somebody on the show who did not get the biggest pop of the night.
Which was who? Jey Uso?
Hulk Hogan.
Oh, yeah, we'll talk about him. Yeah, we'll talk about our good buddy Hulk Hogan, man.
Oh, yeah.
What did you make of the Kevin Owens Cody Rhodes interference in this match? Did you feel like it fit into that whole aspect? And what did you make of Solo and the Kevin Owens kind of back and forth there? Kevin Owens was willingly helping out Solo beat Roman Reigns. I know Roman is public enemy number one over here, but you know, Solo is just as guilty for ruining Kevin Owens' life as anybody else. I found that to be quite the interesting dynamic last night.
I'm just wondering how, if at all, it ties into what we saw on Friday, because we had McIntyre on SmackDown, and then when he had Cody's back turned, remember he was like, you better watch your back, and then Owens attacked Cody. And then Owens and McIntyre, they shared this almost like a look of like mutual respect. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking, okay, because I was surprised that McIntyre didn't get involved in Roman's match. I thought there was a pretty good chance he would. But I was thinking even then, like, I wonder how, you know, he might pay it back to him on Monday. It's like McIntyre kind of did him a favor in a way. If you assume they were kind of in on that together. Is Owens going to interfere in his match with Jey Uso? He didn't, but he interfered here. Did Drew have anything to do with that, do you think? I mean, do we come to find out that, you know, maybe he did a favor for McIntyre because McIntyre hates Roman and so Owens got involved there to kind of pay him back.
I hope so. I'm actually very intrigued at the possibility of an alliance of some sort between McIntyre and Owens. Yeah. And if you want to do Rollins at some point this year, you get him involved. Maybe Randy. Maybe it's a whole fucking foursome. All four of them. I don't know. But I got to shout out my guy, Angel Alaga with a $200 super chat.
Holy shit.
Here is a super bomb to the best duo in the business. Happy New Year to both of you and the OTS chat. Angel, thank you so very much, brother. Happy New Year to you as well. We are very happy and very lucky to have you here on TNT tonight. Thank you, man.
It's amazing. Thank you, brother.
Yes, I am very interested in that alliance. I found that to be quite the interesting aspect to what I thought was an okay match. These tribal combat matches, they all end up the same way. I was happy to see some plunder early on with the kendo stick and the table and the stairs, and then everybody gets involved, and it's one big clusterfuck at the end. But like you said, I'm glad that they wrapped it up here, and Solo and Roman is not going to be anywhere close to WrestleMania.
Do you think, are you thinking... Because I'm thinking now, like, okay, Jacob and Solo, and where does this go from here? Do you think the match, the play at WrestleMania is Jacob against Solo?
I could see that, yeah. I mean, it's not my first choice for Jacob Fatu, but I don't know what we do with Solo. We just can't cast him off because he lost Deal of Folly. He's got to stay involved in some way. So, yeah, I think that's the best way for it. Roman was handed the Ulafala from The Rock. There was a little stare down there, and that was basically it. And he gave the ones, and that was the end of the opening match here on the Netflix debut. We did get confirmation that Penta is coming, and that his first opponent next week will be Chad Gable. I've seen some people complaining about the fact that it was rushed and that it was a random announcement. I mean, we got 4 weeks of vignettes. Hey, it's not a random announcement. I think anybody with a fucking brain in their heads knows that Penta is coming.
Well, I think what they mean. Well, but I think what they mean is because this was weird. Like Gable is talking to Adam Pearce, and he's going on about how a problem with luchadors. I have no problem with luchadors. I'm like, what? A problem with luchadors? What are we talking about here? Where did this come from? Like, I know he's had issues with like Ray and the LWO. I guess that's what they were referring to, but it was just weird. Like, have they really been focusing on like him having issues with the luchadors? It kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, I don't know where that narrative came from. I just hope that this is the last that we see of Chad Gable on Monday night before we move him over to SmackDown. But
I think it's gonna be a great match. It's gonna be.
I mean, you give them 15 to 18 minutes to go do what they got to do. I mean, I don't think anybody's gonna be complaining.
Yeah, no, he's a fantastic first opponent. Of course, it means Gable's gonna fucking lose again. But I mean, if he is being moved over to SmackDown, well, I guess it doesn't matter. So we'll see if American Made gets moved because they should be moved.
Yeah.
I just hope they haven't given up on the idea of the New Day against Ray and a partner, because it seemed like they were setting this up for Penta to debut as Ray's partner.
Yeah.
And then there was no mention made, even though the match was made, the challenge was issued and it was accepted. No mention of it this week. And the New Day was barely on the show. They had them in a couple of different backstage segments, but are they just holding off? Because they didn't announce it for next week either. So are they just not doing the match? They change creative on that?
Well, I mean, you got one side complaining that all of this came about haphazardly with Gable and Penta, and then the other side is, well, what happened to the match between the New Day, Ray, and supposedly Penta teaming with Rey Mysterio? You know, you can't win on social media, so I'm going to say everybody would have probably ended up complaining with Penta and Rey Mysterio and somehow the LWO connection coming into play with Penta. So I'm glad we're avoiding that and just moving him on to just do his own thing.
But not if he ended up attacking Ray, which is what I was kind of pitching for him to do. I mean, I think to debut him in that spot and, you know, they could beat the New Day, or it could be a case where he turns on Ray and the New Day wins. But like, I don't want to see Penta with the LWO. You could tease it. I want to see Penta against Ray. I want to see Penta in there trying to break his arm and leading to a match between the two. The dark side of Penta. That's what I was kind of hoping for. I could see people, you know, complaining because they think he's just going to be added to the LWO, which would be fucking terrible if that's what they. I mean, that would be so bad if that's just what they do with him. Oh my God. But yeah, it almost felt to me like maybe they had an idea for something and they changed it, because when they didn't announce there being a tag match for next week's show, that's what got me thinking, okay, something must have changed here.
Well, maybe they're cooking some plans for Penta versus Ray Phoenix at WrestleMania. Oh, not Ray Phoenix, Ray Mysterio.
Ray Phoenix. Do you know something I don't? Are we breaking news?
Sorry, the wrong Ray.
Don't tell Tony that. Tony's dialing up his lawyer right now to find out. Is this true?
sorry, TK. That Phoenix that Ray will be here very soon, hopefully. But is that they're planning for Penta versus Ray Mysterio at WrestleMania? I think that would be a fantastic match for Mania. Maybe they do Penta and Andrade. I don't know what they do with Andrade at WrestleMania. I don't know where they go there. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, either one of those matches would be great. I just think Penta and Ray, I just think that would be a great way to introduce him and a great opponent for him to go in there and beat. You know, Ray, unlike Andrade, Ray is Teflon.
Yeah.
So if Ray loses, it's not a big deal. Andrade, I don't know that would really benefit him because he's clearly been bounced out of the U.S. title picture, and it just doesn't seem like they have anything really planned for him right now. So to have him go in there and just wrestle Penta just to lose to him, you could do it. But I think if you do Ray and Penta, Ray's got, equity that Andrade doesn't and credibility maybe that he doesn't. And if he loses, it doesn't do any harm to him.
Yeah, maybe they move Andrade to Raw. I don't know. There's nothing for him on SmackDown.
Well, wherever Charlotte's going to go is probably where he's going to be.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we got that. And then the other big thing that they announced last night, which I read from a couple of reports today, got massively booed in Los Angeles, is the fact that WWE, after Mike Johnson confirmed this over the weekend, and WWE was like, I guess we got to put it out. They confirmed that the Royal Rumble will take place in Saudi Arabia in 2026. Now, Nick Khan did say that WWE is a global enterprise, and it only made sense to expand our relationship with the kingdom by bringing one of our biggest annual events to Riyadh in January of 2026. Very, I guess, uncharismatic statement there by Nick Khan. Listen, Jason, I know this was inevitable. I know a lot of people are already making claim that WrestleMania will take place within the next 2 years in Saudi Arabia. I personally... Not that I don't want to see it. I just can't envision it. I can't envision the same excitement. I know. I just mean me personally. I just can't picture it personally happening over there. It just doesn't fit to me. I can't get the same sense of excitement. I don't know how this is all going to come off. Obviously, this is ways away. But I'm also thinking about two other aspects. When these shows happen, the Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, WWE has all these other things, independent promotions traveling around. They're just kind of piggybacking off of WrestleMania. We're not going to be seeing that for a Rumble. We're not going to be seeing that if it happens with a WrestleMania. What about, the fans who have never been to a Royal Rumble and want to go to a Royal Rumble, and this is the year that they can afford to go to a Rumble? They can't do it because it's taking place in Saudi, or WrestleMania, and it's taking place in Saudi. What about the talent? I don't know if that's going to be a factor nowadays because I think WWE is in a much better place now than it was when Vince was there. Maybe people have changed their minds. But like CM Punk comes to mind. He's made it vehemently known that he's not traveling over there. Are you going to realistically have a WrestleMania or a Royal Rumble without CM Punk taking place or taking part in that event? I mean, it's just mind-boggling to me. So I don't know how you feel about this. I just don't get the same sense of excitement when we're talking about these big four or big five happening over there, when WWE has bent over backwards to give them whatever they want. I mean, they created their own fucking championship for the kingdom, and it's not a belt that's even actively defended outside this one show every year. So I don't know how you feel about it. I just can't get the same sense of excitement happening over there.
Well, thankfully, the belts aren't defended because the last thing we need now is more belts. So, I mean, that doesn't bother me. It doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me. This was inevitable. You got to remember, they have two shows over there every year. And we don't know, by the way, if this will impact that. So are they going to have 3 Saudi shows next year, or is this taking the place of one of the usual 2? We don't know. But they have 2 shows every year, I think, that they're contracted to. That's supposedly $100 million. $50 million per show. How much do you think that they would be paying for a Royal Rumble? Or for a WrestleMania?
$200 million. Not for a Rumble. WrestleMania, probably $600, $700 million.
I don't know about that. Well, it's possible, but a lot of money. All right, a lot of freaking money.
Yeah.
And with TKO, now more than ever, you saw it last night. It was on full display. It's all about making money, and any way they can generate income. And they're doing it. UFC also. UFC now is also breaking into Saudi. They have those connections, and it's not going to be any different with WWE. They had a 10-year agreement that they signed in 2018. I don't know if it was extended at any point, but if it wasn't, there's still 3 years left on that deal which is why if they were going to do a WrestleMania there, it would have to be in the next couple of years. I think that they're going to extend the deal. If it hasn't already been extended, I see no reason for them not to extend it. When they're making that kind of money, and we know that that's the one thing that drives them, it's just a situation where they're not going to give that up. And if they want a WrestleMania, then they're going to get one. And yeah, it's going to suck for those independent promotions who would piggyback off WrestleMania. They're going to have to skip it that year. They're going to have to figure something else out. Maybe some other city just becomes, that particular week, all the independent promotions come together in one city. I don't know. I mean, they'll have to figure something out, but that's not WWE's concern. They don't give a shit, right? They don't give a shit about the other promotions. They care about themselves. They care about their bottom line, and they're going to continue this relationship as long as they possibly can, because it is so much money. And they've built up an audience over there. I have people who listen to my show who live over there. They go to the shows. You've probably seen they bring signs to the shows.
I see a Solomonster sign every time we watch a Saudi show in the front, right there on Hardcam.
Yeah. Although the last couple of ones, they started getting hip to it and taking them away. But they got fans over there, and I know they're very excited about it, because they've been waiting for, a major, like not just the Saudi show, but like one of the major events to come over there. So they're very happy. And you're going to have people who aren't happy for a variety of reasons. You have people who live in the UK. If they get WrestleMania before the UK does, those fans are going to be fucking pissed.
I know, I would.
Well, I would too if I lived over in the UK and got skipped over, got passed over. It could happen. I tend to believe that, and somebody mentioned this, and I agree with them on my stream the other night, that WrestleMania I could see coming to Wembley in the next year or two, by 2027, I think we could be seeing WrestleMania at Wembley, because I feel like they wouldn't have teased it with Cena that time a couple of years ago if it wasn't something that realistically was going to happen. So you're going to have more international manias, right? They're doing huge business in these international markets. It's only natural they start to shift some of these major PLEs to these other markets and not just Backlash. You're going to see a SummerSlam. You're going to see a Royal Rumble. And yes, you're going to see a WrestleMania come to some of these places. But the money in Saudi, I mean, you're seeing it in boxing. What was the fight that we had just a few weeks ago? Oh, God, what's that guy's name? The Gypsy King. Fuck, what's his name?
Fucking Tyson something?
Tyson Fury.
Yeah, Tyson Fury, yeah.
Yeah, Tyson Fury just had another fight over there. Why do you think they go over there for all these fights? Because
I mean, look at Live Golf. Look at all the golfers going there. The fucking golf for Live Golf.
Yeah. And that's a concerted, active effort on their part to forge these partnerships with all these different sporting entities and companies, and it's working. And there's so much money to go around. If you're WWE, they're not going to say no to that. So to me, it's just inevitable. Like this was predictable.
Can you imagine when WrestleMania eventually makes its way to Wembley Stadium for the first time ever in that country, and they're going to charge an arm and a fucking leg to get into that building? My God, man, 100,000 people at whatever the ticket prices are going to be. You're never going to hear the end of it.
Well, Tony's not going to be able to claim the largest ever wressling crowd. So whatever year they announce,
he sleeps with that Wikipedia fucking post underneath his pillow every night, man.
Well, Will Ospreay got that tattooed on his arm or something, right? The attendance, I think, for that show.
He did.
81,000. So whenever they announce WrestleMania for Wembley, Tony will have that much longer to say that. But at that point, he won't be able to say it anymore.
Yeah, he knows that's coming to an end. What should come to an end? Actually, we don't want to go to our favorite of all time, Hulk Hogan, yet. Let's talk about Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan. What came to an end is Liv Morgan's title run. She's no longer the WWE Women's World Heavyweight Champion, and this was as expected. I mean, the match wasn't anything super special at all. It was a means to an end. But I did say last night on my review, all the Liv Morgan fans that are complaining, oh, we're in for another reign of terror for Rhea Ripley. I don't know what this Rhea Ripley hate's about or where it's coming from. It's just like super fans that can't cope with the fact that their favorite lost the championship. Liv Morgan and the fans of Liv Morgan have nothing to be ashamed of, nothing to be upset about. This woman has transformed her career and given the best performance of her entire career under this gimmick with the Judgment Day, being in the Judgment Day as the world champion. It's as simple could be, Jason. Rhea Ripley was never meant to lose that championship. If I was a betting man, I would say Rhea Ripley, if not injured ever, would still be the women's champion today going into this year's WrestleMania. That was, to me, what the plan was. She unfortunately got hurt. Liv was the only correct choice to become champion. They played into the natural story of the injury, and then Dominic came along, and they did that whole angle, which was fucking great. And it really made Judgment Day feel important on Monday Night Raw, and it gave Rhea Ripley a story to come back to. I mean, Rhea was never meant to lose the championship, and Rhea was always meant to win the championship. So I don't know why the fan base is so upset. They accomplished what they needed to. Rhea's the right one to go into Mania as champion. And now we could potentially be seeing, everybody's favorite here. EO has a potential shot to win the Royal Rumble. Maybe we get EO and Rhea Ripley. Maybe we get Bianca and Rhea Ripley, which is one of my personal favorite matches that I would love to see at WrestleMania. Maybe we get Jordynne Grace. Who the fuck knows? But the right outcome was Rhea winning, and I'm excited for what's to come.
Yeah, I mean, it was the predictable outcome. It was the right outcome. This had to end. But you'll notice that you know how you could tell they dragged it out for too long? Not only did she win, and that's the correct finish, the correct outcome to all this was her giving Dom the Riptide.
Yeah.
Because they've been teasing it for months. And it got a good reaction, but it didn't get a great reaction. Like, it still was not as big of a reaction as I would have expected. And I think that's specifically because they dragged it out for too long. Yeah. I think if that would have happened a few months ago, the pop for it would have been much, much bigger.
Where was that mixed tag team match? Bash in Berlin? Was that where they did that?
I believe so, yes. That was the end of August.
It should have happened then.
So, okay, that's what I mean. Yeah. Like, end of August. Now it's the beginning of January. And sometimes you just wait too long and the reaction just is not quite as sweet as it would have been if you would have hit it at just the right moment. So that was my takeaway from that. But yeah, I mean, Liv now, she's not going to be involved in the women's world title picture, but they have an intercontinental title. So at some point I could see her carrying that. I still tend to believe that when Becky comes back, which I'm sure she will in the next few weeks, we're going to end up with Becky and Lyra, assuming Lyra wins the title, which I think she is next week. Becky and Lyra, I think, is going to be the direction for the IC title at WrestleMania. Yep. Liv will have her time probably with that belt at some point, but she just had the best year of her career. Like, she solidified herself as one of the stars of that division, even though she didn't wrestle very often. Like, you could probably count on one hand the number of actual matches she had, at least on TV anyway. But she had a great run that completely, came out of left field because, like you said, Rhea got hurt. And that's taking a negative and turning it into a positive. The whole Liv and Dom thing. Look how many months of television they got out of this. That's like more than half a year. So she's got nothing to be ashamed of as far as that goes. I think didn't she sign a new deal? I think there might have been news about her months ago signing a new deal. She's locked in. She's one of their top female stars now. Everybody gets phased out at some point for somebody else. I can understand her fans being upset, but these fans are absolutely out of their minds. All these stands for these different people, we see it. We see it all the time, whether it's Rhea, Liv, Mercedes, Alexa. I mean, there are people upset that Alexa Bliss was not on Raw last night. Like, where would you have plugged her in on that show?
Nowhere. I mean, the Royal Rumble is best served for an Alexa Bliss return.
Yes.
And a Charlotte Flair return. Charlotte's not showing up in middle of nowhere SmackDown. I mean, give me a break.
Probably not. Although I wouldn't rule it out completely. I mean, are they going to be? Where are they in the next few weeks on SmackDown? Are they going to be in the Queen City or wherever it is that she's from?
I have no idea. It's a good question.
I haven't checked the schedule because if they are, maybe they're saving her return for like a hometown pop or something.
But Becky Lynch, I know it was reported that Becky Lynch was supposed to be on Monday Night Raw and she was supposed to be factored into Raw plans, and then you would find out what her WrestleMania plans are going to be. I said the same thing. Jason said the same thing. It's probably headed towards Lyra winning the IC title and Becky versus Lyra to put Lyra over at WrestleMania, which would be the preferred choice there. I don't think Becky needs the Intercontinental Championship. But Lynch was not at Monday Night Raw. She was not even in Los Angeles, according to Fightful, so she wasn't even there. And she has since agreed to a new contract with the WWE, so she will be back very imminently. So that's the update on Becky Lynch. She will be in the Royal Rumble, so we don't have much longer to wait for Miss Becky Lynch there. But as far as Rhea, yes, it's the right outcome, and I'm excited to see what they do with Rhea. She always looks good. So I am expecting a major match for her at WrestleMania, and I know a lot of fans want Io. I hope that's the case. Io or Bianca, my number 1 and number 2. As far as the rest of Raw, we got Jey Uso and Drew McIntyre. I mean, this was as boring could be.
Yeah, I mean this was just completely dull.
Yeah.
And with a finish that I guess they wanted to give Jey the win and try to protect McIntyre, but what did it really accomplish?
It did nothing. They moved on from the match as quick as you could blink. So I think the most notable thing that happened here between the beginning of this match and the end was 2 things. One, Travis Scott smoking weed on Monday Night Raw, which would have never been allowed during Vince's era. And 2, Michael Cole can't eat to save his life. He just looks like he looks like a floundering fish out there. I don't know what the fuck
he looked like. He looked like a fish out of water who was like deprived of oxygen, and it was or whatever. It was just trying to survive. I don't know what he was trying to do. He looked completely ridiculous.
I don't know.
I thought he was gonna slip and fall. I think he was standing on the desk, and it's like, I understand being enthusiastic, for the talent, and sometimes he'll like yeet from ringside, but yeah, he looked like. Boy, people complain about Ricochet and the way he looks on TV. Michael Cole looked like the biggest freak last night trying to dance. Can you even call it dancing? I mean, is that what he was doing? Is yeeting a dance, technically?
It's
kind of a dance, right?
It could be constituted as a dance, yes.
Okay. It was just movement. I don't even know if I would call it a dance. I mean, he was moving, but I don't exactly know what he was doing.
Oh, my goodness. Michael Cole. What is he doing? Pat McAfee and Michael Cole always entertaining on Raw. But what was entertaining, Jason, the most talked about thing, unfortunately, coming out of Monday Night Raw last night was the reaction that Hulk Hogan got as he came out with Jimmy Hart, who was waving the American flag.
This was the most amazing segment on the entire show. This made the night. You talk about an entertaining segment. An entertaining train wreck. That's what this segment was.
He came out with Jimmy Hart. Crowd booed him. He stood there for a little bit, just soaking up all the boos. And Hogan, he started off like he usually does, cutting a promo. And he tried putting over the fans. He kept saying that they've been on his team and on his side throughout his career, but more boos.
40 years. 40 years in this business. And my greatest tag team partner, you, the fans.
Yeah.
Boo! They booed even louder when he tried to suck up to them, and they sniffed him out right away, and they booed him even louder for that. Then he tried to mooch off Macho Man. He mentioned Macho Man and Andre. He was trying to get the applause line, and the boos kept getting louder and louder and louder.
He tried putting over his beer. He got booed. He tried putting over Netflix, and he got booed. And then he ripped his shirt to reveal a Netflix Gets Raw t-shirt, which wasn't fully ripped because as he walked away, it was around his ankles, and he was walking to the back with the shirt around his ankles.
If you can call it walking.
Well,
when
whatever.
He walked out, he was not moving well.
I didn't think he was that bad, but I mean...
No, he was not moving well at all when he went. Think about this. Jimmy Hart, now granted, Jimmy Hart didn't take bumps, the way that Hogan did, but every time I see him, I have to put him over because Jimmy Hart is 80 or 81 years old and just the ageless wonder.
Yep. So that happened. He ripped his shirt and then he walked away, and it was one of those situations where it was, I don't know what the fuck we watched, man, but everybody enjoyed it. It would cause a shitstorm on social media. And Dr. Chris Featherstone of Sportskeeda put out an article today on Sportskeeda's website saying that Hulk Hogan expected somewhat of a volatile reaction coming out there in Los Angeles, but he didn't expect it to be that bad. He said he was aiming for more of a 50-50 split. This was not a 50-50 split. Mike Johnson, a PW Insider, said that some people were chanting, "Fuck you, Hogan," as well. He got booed when I think his likeness showed up in the intro as well during the Triple H narrated intro. I mean, Jason, this was a bad night for brother man Hulk Hogan. But... Go ahead.
It was a disaster. I mean, it wasn't a bad night. It was a fucking disaster.
Yes,
is what it was. Even when they were showing, because he's in the commercial for Saturday night's main event. I don't know if that's an indication of him, being on that show. They might want to think twice about that. Although I'm sure Jesse Ventura just licking his chops now for that. But every mention of him, every sighting in a video package, and then him coming out there. And I felt kind of bad for Jimmy Hart. Jimmy Hart standing there, he's waving the American flag around, and he's trying to play cheerleader for this guy. I was amazed because I thought to myself, how could they not see this coming? And then I thought, well, they had to know that it was going to happen. And so maybe Triple H set him up on purpose. That's what I was thinking, because anybody with a brain should have known, and maybe not quite that vociferous, that the boos would be quite that bad, but you had to know that it was not going to be a positive reception for him coming out. And yet they sent him out there anyway. Whoever his idea it was, it had to be Triple H. I mean, ultimately.
Let me stop you. Why did they decide on this? I mean, you may be correct. Maybe they did set him up, and it was something behind the scenes where they just wanted to make him look bad. But why would they send him out on this show? Why was he needed on this show? I know, obviously, where he stands in the annals of fucking pro wrestling history, and this is a big night. Yeah. But I mean, they got Saturday night's main event, which I believe they have already advertised him for. Why didn't they just wait 3 weeks and do him on that show, which he's also very synonymous with?
I don't know if they've advertised him for the show. I said he's in the commercial. So okay. I don't recall them, saying that, oh, he's going to be on the show, but he's in the ad. So you would deduce from that he'll probably be in San Antonio.
Yeah.
Or at least he was going to be in San Antonio. Why was he on the show? Because look, they were loading it with stars. They had The Rock. They had The Undertaker made a cameo after the Rhea Ripley match. He came out and rode his motorcycle around the ring and put his foot. We talked about fisting. He put his fist up in the air. Okay. All these people, all these big names on the show, and his freaking logos are on the mat now. So he's technically, I guess, a sponsor now for them. So he is one of the biggest names, if not the biggest name in the history of the business. I'm not shocked they would have wanted him there, but I'm shocked they still chose to put him out there knowing that the reaction was going to be largely negative. And they sent him, and it was negative enough that there were news articles today. I'm not talking about Sportskeeda. I'm talking about like
everybody.
Variety.
TMZ picked it up.
TMZ, the Hollywood Reporter, there were articles about it. The closed captioning on Netflix, literally in like brackets, crowd booing as he was standing out there. Even the closed captions picked up on it. It was just kind of a beautiful disaster in many ways. I was so tickled by this, because here's a guy, you want to know why he's being booed, because everyone's been having a conversation about this today, and everyone's bringing up all kinds of reasons, and then the racist comments from all those years ago, which, yes, that's largely has a lot to do with it. Politics, and they're bringing up all these different things. Let me tell you why. The politics thing is just a cop-out, okay? When we saw Hulk Hogan in his hometown of Tampa, Florida at WrestleMania, dressed like a fucking pirate, standing next to Titus O'Neil, he got booed. This is not the first time that this has happened, okay? And that was like 3 or 4 years ago at this point. And there have been other times as well. There are some places where he would come out and get more of a positive reception than not. I think he was on Raw 30, and he got more positive than negative. But let's not pretend like this is the first time that Hogan has gone out there and either gotten a lukewarm reception or have been booed. This is not the first time that this has happened. It's happened several times over the last few years. And people have different reasons for not wanting to see Hulk Hogan. One of the biggest is that they're tired of his shtick. He comes out there, it's the same fucking promo every single time. There's nothing entertaining about it. He's doing the same shtick that he did 40 years ago. Well, let me tell you something, brother. And then he'll substitute whatever words in there, and he's always there to plug something. So, of course, when he plugged his beer, they booed louder because they don't give a fuck about his beer. They didn't want to see him in the first place, let alone have him plugging his shit. But they're tired. It's the same tired shtick. And yes, the racist leaked audio, that's going to haunt him for the rest of his life. And it's very different because I'm sure there are other people that have said as worse or as bad or worse than Hogan, but it's a little bit different when you hear it in his words. Like that audio will live forever. And it's not something that a lot of people are able to just wave away. Some people said, you know what? I'm over it. I forgave him for it. He's still Hulk Hogan. A lot of people don't. A lot of people don't feel that way. They can't bring themselves to do it. And they have never forgotten about it. Me personally, look, I grew up a Hulk Hogan fan, right? A lot of people watching wrestling today would probably not be fans were it not for Hulk Hogan. And Michael Cole said on commentary last night, we're here today because of Hulk Hogan. All of that may be true. But you know what? And I know you more than anybody would know this. When the Vince McMahon stuff came out, okay? I didn't hold back from talking about Vince McMahon. Did you?
No.
You didn't sugarcoat your comments about
Nope.
Vince McMahon. Okay.
Nope.
Vince McMahon, he's the mastermind behind all of this, right? We wouldn't be watching this product today were it not for him. And so I can sit here and I can give him his flowers and I can say he's the greatest promoter of all time. Hulk Hogan is the biggest star in the history of this business, and I probably would not be a fan today without him, and he can still fuck off. I can sit here. It doesn't mean that you have to be on Team Hogan or Team Vince for the rest of your life, like you're indebted to them in some way. What turned me off to him, the big thing that really, among other things, but the thing that really just made me angry was the John Graziano stuff. I don't know if you remember this.
No.
But years ago, and now we're going back, oh God, I don't remember if it was 2009 or whatever year it was, but his son got in a horrible car wreck. And his best friend was in the passenger seat. And Nick, I think he was drinking and he was speeding or whatever, and he got in a crash. And Nick was okay. And his friend, who I think was also, I don't know if he was a Marine or an Army veteran or whatever, young kid in his 20s, he suffered a traumatic brain injury. And he was never the same. He was in a hospital, had a giant hole in his head, couldn't feed himself or anything. It was a horrible, horrible situation. And speaking of leaked audio, because everybody, rightfully talks about the racist comments, but there was leaked audio like the jailhouse tapes when he was talking to his son, when his son was briefly incarcerated there. And all that they were talking about was, and Hogan's on tape talking about how, man, I don't know why God laid this kind of heavy shit on this kid. Man, I don't know what he must have done in his life. And I heard that, he could have a temper, he could fly off the handle and yell at people and stuff. I don't know. He must have done something to deserve this. Yeah, as if his son didn't have anything to do with that. And his son is talking about, when I get out of here, we have to put together a reality show. And but this is what these people were talking about at a time when this kid is a vegetable, sitting at home because you were a fucking asshole and you made the choice to get behind the wheel of that car and get into that wreck. But this is what, these people are so twisted. They're so twisted. And it turned my stomach when I heard that. And I said, you know what? Fuck these people. That whole fucking family is fucked. And that really, it did. It made me look at them in a completely different way. And other people will look at Hogan and talk about how he lies all the time and he embellishes and he tells talk. You can go through a laundry list of reasons why people don't like Hulk Hogan that have nothing to do with politics. Because I saw that a lot today. Oh, obviously it has to do with it. I got news for you. There's 1,000,001 reasons why people booed him last night. It could be any number of reasons. But the fact is, they had to know that he was going to get that reaction going out there. I wouldn't be surprised if you had people at the gorilla position laughing their ass off.
I mean, Pat McAfee show had a fucking blast with this shit today. Did you see that?
I did. And of course, Pat was on commentary basically jizzing himself last night. Now, they may have told him to do that, but still, that was a little weird because he was marking out last night. And then, today he's making fun of him. But regardless, though, people will have their opinions of Hulk Hogan. And you can recognize him for the status figure that he is. And when the day comes that he passes away and he is no longer here, people will talk about him as the biggest star that the wrestling business ever saw and the business that he did. And all of that will be 100% true. The only guy I can think of, honestly, I mean, when I think back in the history of wrestling, think of how big of a babyface he was and the way that he carried that company in the 80s and lifted it to heights that it had never seen before. And he did the same thing in WCW as a heel, like 10 years later. Who else can say they did that, right? People will always think back on Hulkamania, the NWO, and all that. But his legacy, his image, kind of like Ric Flair, honestly, in many ways. But his image and his reputation is forever tainted. Whether you can still call yourself a big Hulk Hogan fan or not, that's just the way it is, whether you like it or not. And people shouldn't be surprised when he goes around and he gets booed, because he's going to be booed forever until the end of time if he continues to make appearances. So I don't know if they were expecting anything different, but they shouldn't have been.
Yeah, his contributions to pro wrestling are
cannot be denied.
They will nobody will touch his contributions ever. But the thing is, we'll move on to Punk and Rollins after this. The one thing that really stands out to me is how fake he is, I understand that story with his son is terrible. I kind of knew about it, but I didn't really know in detail about it. It's not even a human being at that point. You're just a piece of shit at that point. It just comes off so fake. And I got a little excerpt here from Featherstone on Sportskeeda. He is so irrelevant at this stage of his life. He's trying to do these other things to remain in the public spotlight, and now he is obviously pro-Trump and he's endorsing Donald Trump. I want to read you this because this is just complete fucking mockery, honestly, and this is just, an actor playing a role. It's not even a human being. He says, and I quote, this was on a podcast with Patrick Bet-David on the PBD podcast. He says, when they tried to kill Donald Trump, someone that I knew personally, it affected me worse, and I sat up off the couch. I said, that's it. This has to stop. I don't want to split my audience as a businessman, but now I don't care. This is much more than a business. This is a spiritual revolution now. This guy's coming out to try to help people. He wants to help millions of people. He wants to help America have God in our country and in our homes and in our schools. And I said at that moment, I can't handle this anymore. Okay. So you're a fraud. That's basically what you are. You're trying to remain relevant because nobody else will accept you. And then, obviously what he did at the Republican National Convention, now he felt so embraced. He felt like he was cutting a promo back in Andre the Giant going into WrestleMania 3. This is what they do. It's all fake to me. So I saw that and I immediately thought of like, bro, you're an actor. Shut the fuck up. And nobody wants to see you. Honestly.
He's a gimmick.
Yeah.
He's a gimmick.
Yeah.
And I don't even know that he can separate the two at this point.
No.
We kind of make fun and laugh whenever he tells one of these tall tales that, it's complete bullshit. And it goes back to like, he auditioned for Metallica and then he was going to he was offered the lead role in The Wrestler, but he said, no, brother, I'm not the right guy for the role. And then the director has to come out and be like, I don't have no idea what he's talking about. Like, you come to expect that if his lips are moving, he's lying. If he's saying something, it's probably bullshit. And it's sad. It really is sad. That's why I brought up Flair, too, because these are two guys that really at this stage of their lives, and it's amazing they're still here when so many others aren't, right? Think of all the guys that they worked with, their colleagues who are no longer with us. But these two guys, two of the biggest stars in wrestling history, are still here. And fans should, be loving that and appreciating it. And everywhere they go, people should be showering them with praise. But they have said and done so many things over the years that are just so fucking embarrassing. They have embarrassed themselves to the point where, again, like I said, their legacies are forever stained, for various reasons. And it's sad that it came to that because it didn't have to be that way. They should have been able to go out with dignity. Dignity is not a word that I really associate with either of these two men. And that's sad. But that's the way it is. And some people don't like hearing that, but that's the truth. But you could still acknowledge their contributions to the business and absolutely two of the biggest stars of all time. But nobody should be surprised when Hogan goes around and gets booed. Look, The Undertaker was on the show last night, right? And The Undertaker hasn't been shy about diving into the political realm.
No, he had Donald Trump on his podcast.
He had a tremendous reception last night. Yeah. He rode out there on the motorcycle. Everybody popped, right? When the gong hit at WrestleMania, people lost their minds, right? There's a lot that goes into Hogan that has nothing to do with politics. There's a lot of reasons why people don't like him. You said he's fake. He is. I don't know who the real man is. I really don't. I don't know where Hulk Hogan ends and Terry Bollea begins. He's a gimmick. He always has been.
Yeah.
But he's also said and done some pretty shitty fucking things in his life. And sometimes, you know what? People don't want to see him on their television. They want to watch Raw. He's a relic of the past. He doesn't bring joy to their lives. They don't want to see him on the show. His promo sucked. He brought nothing to the show last night. It was just an embarrassment. He was there to plug his beer. That was it.
A beer where WWE and his beer are in a multi-year partnership. So you're going to be seeing a lot more of Hulk Hogan, unfortunately, on television.
Well, we'll see. I mean, AEW had what I think was supposed to be a multi-year partnership with Woo Energy, and that's not the case anymore. So who's to say? But that's the story of Hulk Hogan. That's just where he is at this stage of the game. He's got more money than he'll ever need because remember, he won that lawsuit against Gawker for like $100-something million. So it's not like he has to be doing this like he's hurting for money. But this is what he's become. This is what he's been reduced to in the eyes of many fans. It should be no surprise that they don't want to see him on their TV. He's not entertaining them anymore. Maybe 30 years ago he was, but this version of Hulk Hogan that we see now, there's nothing entertaining about it.
If I was him, I would have just ran my surf shop in fucking Tampa and disappeared into the Florida sun. That's it.
He's got his beach shop down there and his merch store, and now he's got a beer, and let him do his thing. But he doesn't have to be on the fucking TV show.
Who we want on the TV show is the two guys that were in the main event, CM Punk and Seth Rollins. They went 20 minutes, and Punk seemingly caused a little bit of a shitstorm with the sickos on the AEW side because he wore the same jacket that he made Tony fear for his life in. So
well, it's his lucky jacket, the jacket where he tried to kill Jack Perry.
Well, it had the 3 X's on it. Jack Perry and CM Punk, the infamous jacket there. But this match with Rollins, Jason, I thought this was a very good match. And I thought Punk looked good. I thought Rollins looked good. I don't get a sense that this is over yet. I do think that there's more layers to what Rollins is really thinking about when it comes to CM Punk. Punk did announce at the end of the match that he will be in the Royal Rumble, which I even posed the question on social media because I was surprised by the outcome. I thought it was going to go to Rollins, and Rollins was going to get Gunther at the Royal Rumble. And Punk, I said, well, maybe he gets Gunther at the Royal Rumble, but no, we're not going that direction yet. He's going to be in the Royal Rumble. So how do you see this playing out now with both Rollins and Punk potentially being in the Royal Rumble match?
Well, I mean, it would seem one would eliminate the other. Could be Rollins eliminating Punk.
Yep.
And then that would continue their issue. Because what I was thinking before I heard what Punk said after the show, where he said, Cody, I'm coming for you. Gunther, I'm coming for you. By beating Seth Rollins, who else would make sense right now as the number one contender to Gunther's title, if not CM Punk?
Well, it's funny you mention that because good old Dave on the Wrestling Observer said that Goldberg is going to be on Raw in Atlanta on January 27th.
Yes. So Mike Johnson, I saw him report that first, that they want to spread the wealth. So Becky Lynch, for example, she was not on the show last night, but she'll probably be on the show sometime in the next few weeks, if not at the Rumble. Goldberg, they're saving him. They're in Atlanta that night, I believe.
Yeah, on January 27th, yeah.
Okay, so, of course, he's an Atlanta guy. That's the show right after Saturday night's main event and right before the Rumble.
Yes.
So are we looking at a situation? Now, I know he's having his retirement match this year, but could we see Goldberg in the Royal Rumble match?
We could.
Because why else would he be on that show if it's 5 days or whatever it is before the Rumble? Why then? Why not after the Rumble?
It's a good question.
Other than Atlanta, other than it being in Atlanta.
Well, I'm trying to think logically here. Cody wrestled Kevin Owens on the 14th of December. Do we see? I don't think Cody's going to be defending the championship on Saturday night's main event and then go defend the title at the Royal Rumble. No. So that would be ridiculous. I think Gunther gets Saturday night's main event and then they don't book him for the Rumble. So I think you may be onto something. I could see Goldberg in the Royal Rumble for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what I was thinking is like, okay, you do Punk and Gunther by virtue of him getting that big win last night, and maybe he beats Gunther to win the World Heavyweight title, and then you could somehow, Seth doesn't have to win the Rumble, he could win the Chamber, but you could set up Punk defending against Rollins at WrestleMania, and Seth would beat him. I think Seth should beat him, because Seth, I'll say this about Seth, he really has become the gatekeeper in this company. Cody Rhodes came back to this company, man, they beat him, and then they beat him again, and they beat him a third time. Cody beat him with one good arm inside Hell in a Cell. So Seth lost 3 straight to this guy who just came back to the company. And now with Punk, he lost clean. He lost clean in what I would imagine is the first match. He's got to get a win at some point. Otherwise, I honestly, if I were him, I would feel disrespected. If you do a second match between them and he loses again, like I would legitimately be fucking pissed off if I'm Seth Rollins. Like, is this all you think of me? You put me in the ring with these guys who left the company and came back, and you just have me lose to them all the time. Like, I know it's a work and everything. I would legitimately be upset about that. But I thought, okay, get the belt off Gunther. Not that I'm happy about that, but like you get the belt off him, that would open him up then for Goldberg at WrestleMania. So that way Goldberg doesn't have to be wrestling for a championship, which he should not be wrestling for a championship. So you could do Goldberg. You could do Goldberg, fuse them together. You gotta fuse them together there.
Ghoul.
And
He's a Goldberg.
Goldberg.
Oh, man.
There's a great gimmick. But you do that match at WrestleMania. That's what he's going to be this run. Fucking Goldberg is back.
Oh, man. Every so often, man, we get one of those gems that just comes out of nowhere. Goldberg.
It's like Liver Morgan, you know?
Oh, my God. Yeah, I mean... Do you see? The possibility of it. This guy's fucking chat now, man. Chat's gonna fucking get it on it. The possibility of him going into WrestleMania not as champion. I mean, it's a high probability. I would assume. I mean, do we need Gold? Do we need Gunther? I don't believe this shit, man. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore, man. Fucking Goldberg. Does Gunther need the world championship going into WrestleMania? I mean,
I would prefer it if he had it, because then you could do him and Cena. Does he need it? No, I mean, he doesn't need it, but I would like to see him hold it into WrestleMania.
So are we predicting Punk and Rollins for the world title at WrestleMania?
I mean, under the scenario that I was just talking about, but if you're saying he's going to be in the Rumble, then apparently not. I mean, because...
here's a better question. Who does Gunther get at Saturday Night's main event? Let's start there.
You're assuming they're going to do at least one world title match on that show.
I mean, I would assume he defends the title once between now and then, yeah.
It goes to what I said before. If not Punk, then who? Who else on that brand would make sense if not CM Punk? He just beat Seth Rollins, one of the biggest stars on Monday Night Raw. Now we have to think baby faces. Okay, so we're not doing Logan Paul or Finn Balor. Balor's already lost anyway. Damian Priest lost. We're not going back to that. I mean, Sheamus. I mean, they're not doing anything in that direction. So it's like, who else?
Well, Logan Paul did call out Gunther at the kickoff.
Yeah,
show.
but it's not going to be Logan Paul. Not on that show. They're not going to do heel against heel on that show. I mean, he just came to Raw. You're not going to have him challenging for the world title. But I was just thinking, we're in the middle still of this transfer window. So somebody could still come over. And so is there anybody on SmackDown who you think might come over who would make sense for that spot?
I'm not thinking of anybody right now. I don't know. I don't, you called it a while back. Not everybody has to have a 600-day reign. I'm honestly okay with taking the belt off Gunther. I was not at first. I'm honestly okay taking the belt off him going into Mania. I just don't know against who.
Well, yeah. I mean, if the story makes sense and you have the right person for it, then do it. I don't know who that person is, if not CM Punk.
Well, it's going to be a very interesting. I guess the twists and turns are going to be happening for at least Gunther that we know of. Rock, we don't really have a situation where we know what he's doing or where anything else is going. But, Punk, Rollins, those are the top two names that jump off the page to me. Goldberg is going to be factored into something. Braun Breaker, I know we've talked about Breaker and Goldberg. I don't know. I don't know what everybody clip it. Yeah, just clip it. Let's go. I'll put it on social media after the show's over. Yeah, that's what we got, man. That's as far as the overall Raw show. I'm looking forward to next week's show for sure. I think we're gonna get back on track next week. I think they got whatever they got out of their system, and I'm excited for WrestleMania season. No matter how many times we go out there and complain. So that's pretty much it.
It's gonna be good. And again, they have an embarrassment of riches right now as far as stars and potential matches that they could put together. It's just a matter of putting them in the right place. Yeah. So that's up to Triple H. But, I mean, you can't say he doesn't have enough people to work with. I mean, you got John Cena back. You got Goldberg, doing his retirement match. The Rock, is he going to wrestle? Is he not going to wrestle? We don't know. CM Punk, a healthy CM Punk finally going into WrestleMania. Roman. There's a lot of matches that they could do. So take your pick.
Where is AJ Styles? Says Malachi Frazier in the chat. That's a good question.
Yeah, I mean, there's been no update on him and his foot. I don't know. I don't know that he. It's been a while already, so I would almost expect him to be in the Rumble. I mean, wouldn't you? I mean, it's not. I haven't heard that his injury was such that he's going to be gone for like a year. It's nothing like that. So maybe we see him in the Rumble. Maybe he goes to Raw.
I hope so. Guys, thank you very much, man. Excellent night tonight. We had upwards towards 3,300 in here, and we have near 1,200 likes, and we're going to get into your super chats right now. Appreciate you guys for making the return of TNT, a worthwhile one, and thank you guys for the laughs, man. After this week, I got to use it, so I got to read this one from David Thiering. I know he just came in late with a super chat here. He says, with a $5 super chat, Solo, do we get Goldberg super chats and Bukkake Ghost super chats now on your channel? LOL.
Oh, man. Yeah, you know what? Probably, yeah. I think I'm going to put together a new one too. The Hulk Hogan gets booed super chat.
There you go. At least it's good for something.
Yeah, no, we got some new content ideas now. I got to think about this.
All right, guys, make sure you guys follow us on social media. Everything you need is linked down below. Follow Jason on YouTube as well. Again, link down below. And please continue to get those super chats in. You guys have done incredibly well tonight. And make sure you guys hit that thumbs up as well. Let's try for 1,500 if we can get close to 1,500 tonight. Right now, we're just at 1,200. Michael Krause, 2 in Super Chat. TNT is back. OTS JD, Jason, let's go. Yeah, thank you, Michael. Bader Mohammed. 2026 Royal Rumble will be in Riyadh, and we will be there, baby. Greetings to both of you all the way from Saudi. You guys are the best to ever do this. Well, Bader, I appreciate you, brother.
Thank you, man.
Miles Marable with a $9.99. Solo, did you tell JD what Undertaker and Rhea did to each other? Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Also, go ahead, what?
He's well aware.
Yes, I'm well aware. Also, what are both of your early predictions for the Final Four in both Rumbles and winners? Oh boy, putting us on the spot.
I don't know about Final Four, but I like the idea that I pitched earlier, where it comes down to Cena. He thinks he's won, and then The Rock, the final boss, comes out, spoils the fun. He ruins his chances of becoming a 17-time world champion and dumps him out of the ring.
I do think we get Cena and Punk face-to-face in the Rumble, too.
We're definitely going to get Cena and Punk at some point this year.
Yeah. As far as predictions on who's going to win the Rumble, I'm going to go with EO as the heartfelt favorite here for the ladies, even though that's going to be a stacked Rumble. And for the men, I mean, I may go with Jason. I like The Rock just showing up out of nowhere, winning the Rumble. I don't have it's one of those years where you don't have a clear-cut choice for the Rumble, and that's a good thing because sometimes it's too predictable. But right now we have no clue, and I like that. Keep it that way.
Yeah. So I mean, I'll say for the women's Rumble, I'm going back and forth between EO and Charlotte as far as who I see it be. I would rather it be EO, but I'm gonna go Charlotte. I just feel like if she comes back in the Rumble, I just don't see her losing.
And with Roman, I don't want to cut you off, but Roman in the Rumble, I could see Rock being in the Rumble for sure. That's another little tidbit there. I seen someone in the chat say that. Yep.
Yeah, and when Charlotte won the Rumble last time, was it 2020 or 2021? It's been about 5 years, I think, right, since she won.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been long enough where it could very well be Charlotte.
Zeno 0 with a 20. Solo, be honest. I bet you were dying laughing at the Hulk segment. He was. He loved every bit of it. And he got angry because Hulk Hogan genuinely angers him. Man, I got his ass nuked by Cali. Also, JD, unfortunately, Royal Rumble is in Saudi next year. Sucks, man. I just want Punk to get his WrestleMania main event moment. He may very well do that. We don't know.
Yeah, could happen this year.
David Thiering, thank you, brother, for the 100 in Super Chat earlier. Says, let the fisting puns begin. LOL. Sidro with a $5 super chat. Did you hear about the octopus that held up a drugstore? It was an armed robbery. And this is for Solo. Oh my God. How do mummies start letters whom it may concern.
It's not as good as Goldberg, but that's pretty good.
Oh, he said that in my chat last night, and I said you got to reiterate that one on Tuesday.
That's pretty good. That one's pretty good.
Christian Ladner with 29 months. Thank you, Christian. Wanted to show some love to my OTS family and the IWC Tribal Chief. How's it going, JD and Jason? What are you guys drinking? Hashtag OTS for life. PS. Congrats, Julia. Yes, Julia's the new women's champion in NXT. What am I drinking? Normally, at this hour when I work, it is a cappuccino.
Well, at this point, I'm on my bottle of water.
There you go.
So at this moment, that is what I am drinking.
And apparently next week it'll be Real American Beer if I can find it. Great.
That's right. We hit the goal. That's right.
Sidra with a 5. Why did the author get married? She found Mr. Right.
Does he come up with these?
Oh my God. And what did the mummy say after getting detention? This Sphinx. P.S. Mod me solo. I don't know.
Well, you know, if you ever popped up in there, you might find a surprise.
Well, there you go, man.
I'm just going to leave it at that. I mean, if you're not in there, you don't know.
There you go, Sidra. You got to show up there, man. I give you clearance to go over there for one night, man. I'll live. Hidden Network with a super chat. Drink that beer, JD. OTS for life. If I could find it hidden, I will certainly do that. WrestleMess with a 199. The second best January 6 for Hogan. Well, I guess if you really want to go down that rabbit hole, sure. Mr. Team, bring it with a 199. Hogan's beer tasted like shit. Still enjoyed Raw live. Well, thank you, brother, for the 199 super chat.
Well, that's very encouraging for when you finally try.
Fixes a bond with a 5. Backstage footage of Hogan entering the arena shows when his music hit, he got a pop. As soon as Jimmy Hart started waving the flag, the booze started.
Yeah, okay. You know what? Yeah, I can see him coming to the back. It's all Jimmy's fault, brother.
Oh, my God.
They don't like Jimmy.
Corinne of Darkness with a $10 super chat. Well, let me tell you something, brother. That was it. Thank you, Corinne of Darkness. MGM Ballin with a $9.99. Let me tell you something, brother. This Real American Beer, dude. It's going to be something special, brother. I pissed in it myself, Jack. I can't believe Jimmy Hart ruined the segment by getting booed, brother. Yeah, well, I could. Is Hogan one to take accountability for anything? No, right?
If he does, I've certainly never. I've never heard of it.
Poor Jimmy Hart. Mason the Legend with a $4.99. We had to put all the American beer on sale for $5, and that shit still won't sell. I can imagine. My friend Drew told me it tasted like Busch Light. Because I posted about it on social media today. He's like, yeah, it tastes like Busch Light. I'm like, that's quite the influence you got there. One person said Pabst. Great.
Yeah, that's wonderful. It's going to go the way that all of his other, products and projects have gone. And a lot of it is, it's not even like he's starting a business. It's just he's licensing his name out or whatever. But I mean, he's had there was a Hulkamania cheeseburger many years ago. There was Pastamania. Couple of years, nobody's gonna even know what this is.
Jorge with a $1.99. Just knock off Bud Light beer, brother. Yeah, that's what I'm hearing, man. Furious Nation with a $4.99. What's up, JD and Solomonster? Happy New Year, and do you have any New Year's resolutions?
I don't do New Year's resolutions. I just say the same thing at the beginning of every year. I want this year to be bigger and better than the year that just ended.
And we already are off to a great start there. Being that Jason had his New Year's Eve stream onto New Year's Day. Monday Night Raw last night was great for both of us. Tonight was great. So we're only 7 days in, and you guys are killing it already. M. Mills with a $10 super chat. No message from M. Mills.
M. Mills, thank you. Yeah, she always is showing love. No messages, but just showing some support. So
appreciate that. Fujin's Henry with a 33 months. JD, turn on Twitch per Huli. Yes, it's been turned on. Not like anybody watched over there, but it's still over there. Best in the world, Matt with a 10. Great to see the Titans back on Tuesday. Looking forward to Penta next week on Raw. Hashtag free Ray Phoenix Cero Miedo. Yeah? I wonder if he does the whole glove spiel next week.
That's his whole gimmick.
Yeah.
They're going to sell so many of those gloves if he does.
El Mase with a $10 super chat. It's weird to me that TK prioritized Wrestle Dynasty over having all roster on deck and doing a special show for the first Dynamite simulcasted on Max.
Did he really prioritize Wrestle Dynasty, though? I mean, as far as promotion?
Not really.
They barely mentioned it.
Yeah. Saquon with a $4.99. Who would you guys consider as the four most influential pro wrestlers in the last 25 years? I would personally say AJ, Danielson, Cena, and Omega.
You said 25 years?
25 years, yeah.
I think you have to have Punk and Danielson both on that list.
Yeah.
AJ, yeah, AJ. I think AJ. Honestly, I'll throw a name out there, and I think you'll agree with me on this. Talking about influences, Amazing Red.
Yep. Yeah, that's tough to go against. But Punk is certainly on there with Danielson, because without them, the whole mentality in WWE going for smaller pro wrestlers in a day and age where Vince was not having any of that, and they broke through. I mean, they are pretty much the two that are responsible for what you see today. So
them getting over the way they did when they did, I feel like is the reason why we have, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn, and Seth Rollins, and people like that. And maybe Rollins would have anyway, but they're definitely guys they signed around that time period who I don't think they would have if those two didn't get over.
Sidro with a $2 super chat. How did Noah sail his ark at night? Floodlights. Okay, not your best, Sidro. We'll move on. Michael Evans with a 10. JD, this Hulkwiser is on me. OTS for life. Thank you, man. That's exactly what I'm expecting. A Hulkwiser. Jorge with a $9.99. Double J versus Christian versus Cope for the AEW title. Darby versus Mount Everest. JD versus Tony Khan, pen to paper match. Okada versus Kenny. And Athena versus Mercedes. Who says no to this for All In? I don't know. I could take Tony, though. I think anybody could. But, I mean, Athena, Mercedes, and Kenny, Okada, all joking aside, two matches that will probably take place at All In. I hope. Especially for the ladies.
You have a lot more optimism about Athena being on AEW television, because I keep saying it every year and she's still not. So I thought the Hammerstein was the perfect place for her to drop that belt to Billy Starks, and then she just beat her.
Yeah, I don't know. I hope it happens, because she's running through opponents very quickly, and she's gonna have nobody by the time we get to July. Royalty with a $9.99. Love Tuesday nights. Lee Fitting's name came up this week. Triple H spoke glowingly of him in his Sports Illustrated interview. JD, I know you were super critical of his situation. Thoughts? Well, Nick Khan, his name was brought up in the last fucking story that came up with Joy Taylor and Shannon Sharp and what's his face on ESPN. So,
Bayless?
Yeah, Skip Bayless. I mean, it's just I haven't talked about that yet. I don't really even want to. It's just the nature of what happens in WWE or happened in WWE. That mentality is never going to change. It's never going to change. I'm not really surprised by it. But Lee Fitting, it was disgusting to read. And there's, what was that, Jason? More than a dozen women that came forward with that.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And look, apparently they knew about this when they hired him. So clearly, it's not like this is a big shock to them and they're going to suddenly take his name off the broadcast. They knew it when they hired him. So, birds of a feather.
Yeah, Royalty. Thank you, brother. $9.99. Appreciate you. Of course, Triple H is going to speak glowingly of him. He's the head guy. He's their new Kevin Dunn. Jorge with a $1.99. Dwayne, All Ego, Ricochet, Rock, Paper, Scissors. Am I supposed to label each one rock, paper, scissors? Is that what you want me to do?
No idea.
I don't know. Ricochet, I would say, is I would say is scissors.
Toilet paper. So get it. He'll be paper.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. I'm a dummy. Thank you, Jorge. Raging Girl again with a 50 months. 50 months, nothing really to say. Just thank you, JD, for this amazing community. Proud to be one of the OGs. And also, what's up, Solomonster?
What's up, Raging Girl? I hope you're doing well. Happy New Year.
David Thuring with a 10. He says, goal and drink unlocked. Of course it is. We could always count on David. David was the touchdown in the end zone for the hologram mask.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Well, also on the New Year's Eve stream, David is CM Punk last night said that he's clutch. He called himself Mr. October. He said, I'm clutch. David is clutch.
He is. Very clutch. We're lucky to have you, David. Thank you, brother. Francis Loop with a 5. Wow, 4 matches in 3 hours. First match started at 8:35 p.m. For good or bad, better or worse, AEW is still the alternative, and that's not a bad thing either. Yeah, if you want pro wrestling for pro wrestling, sure. But please don't disregard the problems, the very valid problems that they have. So, yes, they do have more wrestling weekly. That's not a surprise. Also, Francis with the 10. I guess the OG Bloodline and 2.0 Bloodline did not unite to form a supergroup. No homage to the Finger Point of Doom episode of Nitro when the NWO Black and White and Wolfpack united. I don't know.
You say that like that's a good thing. Like, we don't need that.
Do we get Jacob leading a new bloodline or the new bloodline or the 2.0?
I would imagine that if he attacks Solo, that he would take over. The problem is, like, Tonga Loa is not there. Hikuleo is under contract. Do they do the angle where he boots Solo out and use that angle as the chance to debut Hikuleo?
Makes sense.
Because otherwise, it's just Jacob and Tama. It's like a tag team. I feel like you got to have that third guy in there. To me, that'd be the perfect time to introduce Hikuleo.
Yep. And I think with how savage Jacob Fatu is, I think Hikuleo, or whatever his name will be on WWE TV, will benefit from that for sure. Mm-hmm. David Thiering with 8 months. It's been a great 8 months. Cheers to many more on both of your channels. What if we make the IWC burn by drinking the beer as JD Graham? Well, that's a whole new goal. That's a whole new goal, David.
Can you even do that? Do you have a hole in the mask where you can drink?
Like
a straw in the bottle?
That'll work. I should have did it the first time when I did the stream weeks ago. But yes, I could drink from the mask, but it's very difficult. Yeah. You might have given me an idea, David. We'll see about that. Let me find the beer first. Blake Ryan with a $9.99. Ethan Page just got rubbed from The Rock on NXT. Great career move for him. Tony is going to regret letting him go. I don't think Tony gives a shit. I don't
think so either.
He doesn't give a shit about Ethan Page. Michelle with a 5. Now that Roman has the Ulafala, will his arrogance lead to OG Bloodline turning on him? And Raw felt like it was for Netflix execs and not us. Yeah, it was. It was for all the Lapsed fans that they want back. It was for all the billionaires and the Hollywood, red carpet folk. And as far as Roman, I don't think his arrogance is going to lead to the OG Bloodline turning on him. I think the arrogance of Roman is going to just amplify Drew and Kevin Owens and potentially Randy Orton, maybe Seth Rollins to battle them throughout the year, which I'm kind of excited about.
So you don't think Roman basically just being the same exact person he was before is not, eventually going to just lead to him being the heel again?
I mean, I could see it for sure. I mean, he's not changed at all.
No, not at all. So.
Yeah, I mean, Roman is he's got a lot of different dynamical storylines going on there. I don't know what's going on with him, but he's off television and he's the one guy that's just causing chaos with 7 or 8 different characters on TV, which is a good thing. I like it. Sidro, Cope and Mox sounds like a drug combo. Hashtag cope with it. Cope and Mox. Yeah, sounds like a possible new establishment opening to go get your adult beverages in the evening. Cope and Mox. I'll see you over there. Adam JD 519 with the 10 months. TNT's back. Thank you both JD and Solomonster for this awesome show and both of your awesome communities. Hashtag OTS. Hashtag Solomonster sounds off. Hashtag TNT. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you, man.
Edward with a 499. When Cena listed his opponents last night, seems all the usual suspects except Orton. Do you think there was a reason why Orton wasn't mentioned? Yeah, because he's selling a pile driver.
They don't want you thinking about him right now.
Yeah. Marcus B with a 2. AEW new theme. Rick Ashley never gonna give you up. I won't be surprised.
That would be a good troll.
The Arrow.
Maybe Tiffany. Remember that? I think we're alone now. It's another one of those 80s songs. I feel like Tony. I could see Tony dancing to that, and saying, we got to work Tiffany into the show. Maybe we can get her to perform live.
I'd be very curious to see Tony Khan's Spotify playlist. It's probably all over the place.
I can only imagine.
Arrow stream with a 199. Naomi be like, I did it for Bianca. Sure. You got to give me the why. Got to give me a reason. Sarit Mohanty. How would you book Josh Alexander on NXT? I don't know. Is he going to NXT? Did we get a tease? I hope not.
No, I mean, I think he's just entering free agency, and there's talk about where he may land. And I think if he came to WWE, I think it would be NXT first.
Yeah.
And the thing about Josh Alexander is he's just a great pro wrestler, but he's got history with Ethan Page. So a reunion of the North, I think, would probably make sense.
That works for me. Learning Tree Jericho with a 20. Don't get mad at me for saying it, but the Roman Rock story is truly a slow burn. Even Sting sat in the rafters for months before confronting Hogan. Rock's good guy act gives off red herring to let everyone's guard down. Sure. I hope that's the case. I really do. I think Jason's got the right idea with him coming out at number 31 and saying, you know what? I'm winning the Rumble. Sarit Mohanty. Do you genuinely think that's going to happen? I mean, on a scale of 1 to 10, honestly.
On a scale of 1 to 10, I put it at like 6.
Okay.
But I just think it would just work so well. I just on so many levels. But the thing is, it would have to be Cena in there at the end where you think he won. It can't work with anybody else. I just think it's got to be Cena in there.
What if it's Punk?
But if you're not going to... it would be kind of appropriate, wouldn't it? But I mean, if it's not leading to Rock and Punk, then no, you don't do that. But I just like how it's not leading to Rock and Cena either, but it's like two stories that you're sort of blending together.
Yeah.
Where Rock abuses his power, he gets in there, he wins, and now I can get Cody and I can get that title match. And Cena is he's just crestfallen, and it just makes you think, okay, he's not going to do it, but he's got to just find another way in, whether it's the Chamber or whatever. I really like the idea, but probably a 5 or a 6 on a scale of 1 to 10.
All right, we'll see how that plays out. I like it. Sarit Mohanty with a super chat here. Samoa, WWE return and feud with the Bloodline as Jason predicted, or back to AEW with a vast roster?
I would love to see Samoa Joe back in WWE as part of that angle because he would be in a feature spot. I think he'd kill it. Yeah. I just think he would excel because on promos, he hasn't lost a beat. Like, he's still one of the best talkers in the business. And there's so many talking segments with the Bloodline. I think he would shine in all of those segments.
Yeah, unfortunately, if he comes back to AEW, he's either going to resume teaming with Hook or go after the Ring of Honor title with Chris Jericho. And I'm not really interested in either one of those. King Mo Jackson with a 199 and a 499. Hope all is well, JD and Solo. Much love, brothers. And Solomonster, JD, if you were a wrestler, what would be your finisher, theme, and ring name? Solomonster would be a great ring name. It works.
Not only would Solomonster be a great ring name, I already have entrance music.
Yes, you do.
I come out to Tooth and Nail by Foreigner at the House of Glory shows. My finisher would be a sharpshooter. That way you could put it on anybody. I wouldn't want something where I got to pick somebody up or I got to do something that I can't do on like a larger person. And I'm a Bret Hart mark, so I go sharpshooter.
That's a good question, King Mo. My finisher would probably be either a variation of an RKO. I love the End of Days by Baron Corbin. I think that's a great move. I don't know what my ring name would be. That's probably the hardest aspect of doing a pro wrestling gimmick, but
Goldberg.
Yeah, Goldberg. But my theme song would probably be the one song that I've been playing lately on the podcast. It's Best of the Best of the Best by Shrieker. It's the song I'm going to end the show with tonight. So, yeah, it's a great 80s inspired rock theme, rock anthem. I'm a sucker for a good rock anthem with a good chorus. Cornell Bryan with a $4.99. Forget Cena. What if he eliminates Punk? The internet would fucking lose their mind. Yeah? The internet's going to lose their mind no matter what.
No matter what.
So.
Yeah.
Christopher Holloway with a $9.99. From Rock's comments on NXT mocking fans about him and Cody's dynamic, we may be in for a swerve. Rock said, shut up and enjoy the ride The Rock is taking you on. Remix of last year's Mania drama. He will be a part of Mania. I just wish there was a little bit more of, I guess, a nice string of breadcrumbs. Just give me something. I don't want to have to constantly keep guessing every week. It's rather annoying sometimes.
You're very impatient.
I am. After last year, I think we have every right to be. We don't trust the guy. Arrowstream with a $1.99. They did dirty to Will Friedle last night. Yeah. Good old Eric Matthews. He got zero mention.
It's a shame. Shameful.
It's Mr. Feeney's star pupil there.
That's right. Is Mr. Feeney still alive? I think
yes.
He's still alive.
Yes, he is.
That's incredible. He's got to be, what, in his 90s?
He's got to be, yeah. Bucks After Dark with a $4.99. Can you guys live react to The Rock on NXT? No, we don't do live reactions. Sorry. Demeter Bullion. Not a fool, but a cool dude is me with a $7.99. CM Funky lose Rumble. Attack Truthy with slap. Punch to the leg. A light chop. A machete. And a kick to shin. Real fight. Who win? Riddle versus Ric Flair 2025. Oh my God, man.
That was a long journey to get to the actual question in there.
I'm going Ric Flair, Demeter, just to throw you off, because everybody's gonna go Matt Riddle. Eddie Foster says Mr. Finney's 97 years old. No, get the fuck out of here. Really?
Let's see.
Wow. Gilbert also says it too. That is crazy.
Hold on. I wish I remember his real name. I'm typing Mr. Feeney. Mr. Feeney is... William Daniels is 97 years old.
Oh, my goodness.
He was born 1927.
Wow. Good for him, man.
Wow.
Jimmy Mancuss with a $10 super chat. Let's be honest. Corey should have left Topanga for Lauren, the cute mountain girl he met during the John Adams high school trip to the Mountain Sun Lodge. You know, man.
You don't leave Topanga.
Yeah, you're going to spark a debate, bro. I mean, it's late. Well, maybe we'll save this for next week, but listen. Topanga at that age, man, on that show, when you're a young kid, when you're me at that time watching the show, there's no girl hotter than Topanga.
But that kind of reminds me, like, remember there was that, it was like 2 episodes of Saved by the Bell where they were at the beach and Zach fell in love with like a different girl, Leah Remini.
Yeah.
The one who, okay, so it's like the same thing.
Is she King of Queens? Is that
yes.
the one that, okay.
Yes, the wife, yeah. The one who left, she fled Scientology. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's obviously a down. You think that's not much of a downgrade from what he's talking about here with.
No, but still, I stick with Kelly Kapowski.
Of course. I mean, Zach downgraded. He went from Kelly to her, and then Tori. I mean, that's such a huge downgrade.
Oh God, I forgot about Tori. Oh my God. Try to block that out of my mind.
Oh my God, man!
I always had a thing for Lisa Turtle, though. I got to tell you.
Yeah, she was a thing back in the day. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But I'll tell you, man, the Mountain Girl Lauren in Boy Meets World, man, she was a looker too. I gotta get Corey's got some good taste. So that was a great season. Jaquard Lee with a $4.99. Thoughts on not getting a Wyatt 6 entrance in the brand new arena on the biggest Raw ever? Do you think we should have at least got a vignette? No. No, we'll see. We'll see Wyatt 6, I'm sure, at WrestleMania. They'll get their WrestleMania entrance.
Well, we definitely need to get them more often on TV. It's like I've already almost forgotten the fact that they lost that match to the Final Testament.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the last time we saw them, right? When Howdy got pinned.
And we're continuing that as far as what we got last night. So, Havili Bryan. No, actually, no. This is Havili Brain with a $10 super chat. What's up, JD and Solo?
Havili's Brain for Goldberg.
What is up, JD and Solo? Now that both Trick and Roxanne both lost in both opinions, is one or both finally moving up to the main roster? And for JD, sorry for your loss. Shout out from Brisbane, Australia. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that very much. I do think, unfortunately, we're going to get both getting called up, even though Jason and I both think that Trick should stay in NXT. Roxanne, absolutely getting called up.
Yeah, we have a breaking Raw ratings news here from Brian Alvarez.
Uh-oh.
The Raw television rating, 0.
Okay.
There's your breaking news.
There you go, man. The sickos can take that one to bed tonight, man, and smile. Bucks After Dark with a $4.99. Hear me out. Trump pardons Vince. Vince takes back creative. Omos wins the Rumble. Miz beats Gunther. Omos, Miz main event. Night 2 for Tribal Chief. I'm going to have to kick you out of the venue. I don't want to hear that ever again come out of anybody's mouth. Thank you for the $4.99. That is awful. Honestly, I mean, I don't know what to say, man. Thank God he's not here. Who knows where we would be. Vincent Moore with a $5 super chat. The Rock just went off about people being mad about what he did on Raw. He said it doesn't matter. He's the final boss. Enjoy what y'all do. Thank you, Vincent. I got to watch this promo. I will watch it as soon as we end here. Joseph Morris. Thoughts on this? Liv versus Becky at WrestleMania. Liv wins Queen of the Ring and then beats babyface Tiffany for the women's title at SummerSlam in hometown. Liv winning Queen of the Ring? No.
I mean, she just won the Crown Jewel Championship. I don't see her winning Queen of the Ring. Too.
No. And no on Liv and Becky. We've seen it, and I'm over it. Fixes a Bond with a 5. Hogan has been on WWE shows 11 times since 2016 and hasn't been that bad in any of those appearances. Why now? I know why. Well, Jason, I think beautifully ranted about why. I don't know how many people know about the car accident there that he mentioned, but I mean, people got their own reasons, and they have every right to.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, they're tired of it.
Yeah,
it's time to move on.
Apex with the $1.99. It wasn't politics. Taker ding and booed. Yeah. Well, I mean, Trump and Hogan, they had the whole thing at the Republican National Convention. He actually cut a better promo there than he did on Raw last night. So it's like, whatever. Well, let him do what he's got to do, man. He's got to stay relevant. Joey Jojo Jr. with a 10. No message. Thank you, Joey. Fixes a Bond with a 5. Fans of Hogan need to continue to show him support. His beer is not available yet in the DMV, but I'll find a way to buy some. Not yet available in the DMV.
In the DMV?
I don't know what that means, bro. I don't know.
I thought maybe he meant the DMZ, but that between North and South Korea. Wait, what are you? DMV? I don't know. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that stands for.
Jedi Joker with a $2 super chat. He says Goldberg versus JD Graham. Book it. Okay. Sure. If we have a TNT meet and greet, Jason will dress up as Goldberg and I'll come wearing the fucking hologram mask. Sure.
I'll get the bald cap ready.
David, thank you for the $5 super chat where he mentioned Goldberg super chats and Bukkake Ghost super chats. Thank you, David. Matthew with a $10 super chat. My mom, 62, asked a question last night, and I told her I would ask the pros. When KO and Cody take their fight through the crowd and off camera, how do we, the audience, resolve that? forget it, or address it later? I guess he's talking about last night.
Yeah, but I guess whenever somebody brawls into the crowd, you just assume that they brawl to the back, and eventually security and referees broke it up like they always do.
Yeah, those things really don't bother me. Eddie Foster with a 31 months. Hey, JD Solomonster, just wondering, would you guys ever consider bringing a hog show to Indianapolis? Would love to see you guys here. OTS for life. Sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's no plans that I could share at the moment, but we are expanding out onto the road. We're going to be in Chicago. Is it next week?
Next weekend.
I don't know. It's almost going to be midway through January already.
I know.
So yeah, we're going to be in Chicago next week, and then beyond that, stay tuned. That's all I can say.
Apex with the 199. Do you guys see Liv Morgan turning on Dom or Finn kicked out? I see Finn getting booted and going over to Friday Night SmackDown for sure.
I wonder if Liv will have an issue with Dom. Last night when he went to go hug Rhea, like, okay, you got the title now, and like I could see that being an issue with them though.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. What do we got here? Apex with a 199. Thank you, brother. David with a 20. We got a super chat idea piling up for Solo. First the Hogan booze, then Goldberg. Also, Solo, I don't know if you remember, but I commented about you doing the Money dance as one of your super chats during the AEW review. LOL. Great job tonight, guys. I would actually love to see that. You doing the Money dance?
Hey, yeah, you don't want to see it. It was brief. It was. It's better forgotten.
Patches with a $5 super chat. How, or actually, he says, who do you have in mind for the Final Four at the Rumble right now based on the booking? Punk, Cena, Orton, Rollins would be special but predictable. I think we got this X earlier. It's very difficult to book the Final Four right now, but I would assume Punk is certainly one of them, and Cena would certainly be one of them.
And if Rollins was in there too, then I mean that's a safe bet.
Yeah.
And then I would have Rollins eliminate Punk, assuming Punk's not winning.
Yeah. Jesus with a 2. No message. Thank you, brother. Ryan with a 279. Seems like Hogan's creative control card expired. Good.
Ain't no creative control clause gonna save him now.
Grant Hudson with a 499. Hogan got booed on Raw 32. Hunter absolutely knew this was going to happen. He probably was in the back laughing along with Shawn and Taker. LOL. Probably.
I could definitely see that. Taker's got no love lost for him.
No.
I mean, they may share other things in common, but he's made it very clear he doesn't think very highly of Hogan.
Vincent Moore with a 2. Obafemi is the new NXT champion. Yes, we found that earlier in the stream. Good for him, man. He's a beast. Indigo with 48 months. Hi, JD and Jason. Happy New Year. Both of you were on your A game last night. Smoke and mirrors may be WWE slogan for 2025. All is well, my guys. It is very well, Indigo. Thank you very much, brother.
Thank you, Indigo.
That guy Yeager with a 5. Did you guys hear about the promo Rock cut tonight? Very interesting. We will definitely check it out in a little bit, brother. He also says with a 2, all hell Oba, Oba, Oba. Grant Hudson with a 999. As a black man who was a fan of Hogan, I do think if he had genuinely apologized, he could have regained some of his goodwill back, but he didn't, and last night is the result. Do you honestly believe that, Jason, if he did an apology tour, that people would maybe be easy on him?
I think people would have just saw it for what it was. I mean, because again, I don't believe anything out of his mouth. Everything is just manufactured to me. So maybe the general public might have looked upon him a little kinder, but as far as wrestling fans or people that know him, I say know him, like know Hogan being Hogan, I don't think it would have made a huge difference because I wouldn't have believed him. Like, there's just nothing genuine there.
No, all fake.
Yeah, it's an act. It just feels he's just always in Hulk Hogan mode.
Yeah. Jesus with a 5. Dang it. He says he messed up his first super chat, but wanted to say if you guys see a Cena versus Punk main event as well this year, doesn't have to be WrestleMania. Absolutely.
Yes.
MDH Sports with a 499. Great show, JD. Love this show. What does Drew do at WrestleMania? Maybe versus Roman. I could see it, but Jason brought up a great match, potentially. Drew versus Cena. which I would absolutely be okay with. CM Funky, oh my God, CM Funky, Munty, Runty, Hunky, Junky, Lunky, Sucky with a 99 cents. Thank you, Demeter. Appreciate you, brother. And we got, who else we got? We got Table 754 with a $5 super chat. Program alert. NXT isn't airing on KTLA because they're covering 2 wildfires that are ravaging sunny Southern California. I'm sorry to hear that.
I saw that. It's like a raging inferno out there. It's getting started early this year. So hopefully nobody watching this right now is in harm's way.
And we'll end with this one. The Wrestling DeLorean podcast with a $20 super chat. I've been a fan of both of you gentlemen. I'm about to hit episode 400. Wanted to thank those who inspired me to get in the game. Cheers, gentlemen.
Congrats, brother. All the best, man. Just keep doing your thing. Keep grinding, and you'll grow even more from here.
And 400 episodes is quite the milestone, brother. Keep doing it, man. As long as the passion's there, believe me, people will come and watch. Always said that from day one. Guys, you guys killed it tonight, man. We had upwards towards 3,300 from what I'm seeing here. We have 1,300 likes, and you guys absolutely slaughtered the super chats, man. I appreciate you guys very much. I'm going to let Jason sound us off tonight, as always. What do you got, man?
I'm going to keep it simple and just wish everybody a happy new year. It's great to be back here in the saddle after 2 weeks off, and we are going to fucking kill it here in 2025. So here's to a great new year, wherever you may be, and come on back next week and we get to do it all over again.
There you go, guys. Hopefully Raw is better next week. I'm expecting it to be. And we will be right back here with episode 79 of Tuesday Night Titans. Also, next week, we have House of Glory in Chicago. If you guys are going to be in the area next weekend, make sure you guys show up on Friday night. Jason and I will be doing commentary for the show. It's going to be a great show. We have Mike Santana on the show. Amazing Red, Charles Mason, Ricky Starks is going to be there. Zilla Fatu, man. We got a loaded show for our Chicago fans. So if you guys are there, show up. And we will see you right back here next Tuesday for episode 79 of TNT. See you guys later.